Okay, thank you. Tuesday, July 10th, 2023 at 2 p.m. This is a town council work session, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. We have 4 councilmen in attendance, but we do have a quorum. We will conduct business if necessary. So the first item on the agenda is housing, and I put housing on here. I put a couple of things on here. Housing, mainly because I had sent all of you a document that was sent to me, and it was a study done on why we're having housing shortages in the state and some of our problems. And it talks specifically, and the reason I wanted you to see it, I also sent it to 2 boards, I think to P&Z and the Water Board, that there were three findings, and one of them was regulations. The other 2 were water and sewer, and some of the reasons why we're not seeing a lot of expansion is because we've got infrastructure problems statewide, not just in our area. So I thought it was worth a discussion. The thing I wanted to talk to the town council about is, after our meeting with Planning and Zoning Board, I'm thinking we need to schedule another one. So I'm not sure how you guys feel about that. There were a lot of things that came up at the meeting. Some of them I was a little freaked out about. But
there was a major item that they were ready to discuss,
yeah.
We never got to.
Which one was what?
The new IRB and IB
Oh, yeah.
building codes.
Building codes. So,
there was a full-blown PowerPoint presentation.
can we schedule that in August?
Probably. They're meeting tomorrow, so I'll bring it
Okay.
up.
Before 15th or 16th, I'm headed out of town for 10 days to babysit.
Your second full-time job?
Yeah, right, I know. Grandkids.
Yeah, they'll do it.
Yeah, I haven't brought my stuff to do that.
I'm gonna be out of town the 11th to the 15th, so that's not very long.
No, you're not long at all.
So they'll meet the 9th and the 23rd.
Oh, so that works
The
out.
9th would be great.
In August.
Yes, in August.
What day is
August.
it?
It's a Wednesday. They always meet
It's the
Wednesdays.
day after the council meeting.
So August 9th, you're gonna be gone?
No, but
What about the 23rd?
I'll be gone.
You'll be gone the 23rd.
So if it's late in the afternoon, I might.
It'll be like 5 o'clock.
Well, but we would wanna meet with them at probably 2 or 3.
Yeah.
If it's after 3 years, my time.
Okay. Just give me a time, you guys. The 9th?
3:30?
I'm good.
Perfect.
I'm good the 9th or the 23rd, so which day? 9th?
The 9th.
Okay,
Yeah.
August 9th
At 3?
at 3,
3:30, or whatever.
gives us 2 hours. Okay. Yeah, I just thought we had so much that we left undone, and we got into that conversation about basements, and I was like, whoa, we can't, we can't enforce everything that everybody does in their house, so I just wanted to make sure we were all on the same page.
Even discussion about structural mods, you know.
Yeah, and in driveways are a huge problem for us, and I think another thing I'd like to address then is, right now, they do a driveway permit and they have to wait for the P&Z to admit to approve it, but why couldn't Willie approve it? I mean, cause the only thing we care about is where it enters the road, so I think there's some decisions that I think we should make.
The plan, at least that I remember coming
Okay.
from Gina and Mike,
Okay,
was that Willie would be the one that would be doing it, and he'd be going out and doing the visit
which he
to
does
make
now,
sure
yeah,
it doesn't infringe on the right of way.
okay. So that's kind of my thoughts of some of the things I'd like to settle. And the other reason I brought up that housing study is what I traditionally see with the legislature is if they see where cities and towns are kind of going overboard on what they're doing, they'll kind of step in and slap our hands a little, so I just wanna make sure
So
that
I
we're
was just thinking,
not going crazy on some of these things that we're asking people to do.
there's things that the states, governments are doing, like, for example, Phoenix is talking about changing the zoning so that any single-family house in town can put in a mother-in-law building in the back, whatever,
Mhm.
and use it for, economic, housing for, and so I mean, if you got tracks out there, people have built houses in one house per lot. If the town comes in, and says, okay, you can build, second houses behind it, it could take a lot of people off, so I mean,
Well, you're also gonna run into problems with a second house
and
on
parking.
the 40%.
Yeah, well, this is Arizona, but you know.
Yeah, well, they're doing something similar in Salt Lake City, where they're letting them put little small homes on these bigger, older properties,
Yeah.
but they don't have enough housing, that's the problem.
So, I
The-
think of some of the responses of the government to solve that problem is gonna cause a lot more problems with.
Right.
Some of the solutions are ridiculous, I
In
think.
conversations with realtors, part of the reason that they're saying that there are so many houses for sale on the ranch compared to what there have been in the past, because of the increase in taxes.
Yeah,
A lot of people are bailing. That and they're trying to get the inflationary price, which is not selling,
right.
and it's going south.
That's interesting, cause I was always told, because we're kind of a resort area, that we should have 10% of our homes should always be on the market. And we're at 1,100 homes, so we're not even close to 10%. But anyway, so that was really the biggest reason I put that on there was, let's schedule another meeting with PNC. Let's make sure that we're, I think we need to have rules, but I don't think that
So are
we
we
need to have too many rules.
kind of slowing down, like putting, cause I know Gina was gonna start working with Mike about the ordinances and rewriting them then?
We have
Kind of put a
one.
stop to that, okay,
We have one coming out,
Okay.
but we're, they're trying to figure out whether they want to adopt the,
IBC and IRC.
newest version. Is that the newest version?
No, 2021.
2021, so we're on 18 now. Do we
Yeah.
want to adopt 21?
before we change a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, so we
Okay.
haven't, we need to make that
Yeah,
decision,
that makes sense,
I think. That's kind of a big one.
yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, so we'll schedule another one August 9th at 3:00. And Taylor, you'll make sure that's okay with them?
I'll let you know
Oh,
tomorrow.
at 3 is when we're doing it?
Uh-huh.
I've got it on the calendar and I'll add it
Okay.
to the website as well.
Yeah, and that housing study also talks a lot about water and sewer and expansion and those type of things, and I think we're in pretty good shape, I mean, for our existing community, and we would have the capacity, we have built in our ordinance enough money coming in, if we have a new subdivision that wants to be part of the town, they can certainly do that, if we, feel like we wanna annex it, but we're covered in our law as far as covering the cost of the water. So I think we've done a really good job of trying to look to the future, make sure that we have all of these things covered. You'll find builders that don't really, or contractors that don't think they wanna pay for water. But we have it built in, so anyway.
So the housing study you sent, I
Mhm.
apparently, or obviously did not get through all of it.
Yeah, it was pretty long, I just like the gist of it, yeah.
But what I did get through,
Mhm.
it seemed to be more geared to me towards more urban areas like Cheyenne and Casper. I mean, it does talk to some of the other, like infrastructure and sewer and things like that, but some of the things I just thought were, I don't know, I almost felt like whoever put it together wasn't really getting a lot of Wyoming rural
Doesn't apply to us.
housing, yes, exactly. And it does come out of a Harvard, what is that, whatever this growth lab is, that's a
Yeah.
Harvard-based,
And their surveys they did through WAM, so they, and unfortunately, that's what happens, is they
Yeah.
don't get a lot of feedback from some of the smaller communities when they're doing surveys about
But
housing.
what bothers me is I think about this a couple of years, you get those emails like that. At some point, the legislature is gonna say, all you towns, you shall go forth and create affordable housing for, and I said, that drives me nuts to figure out how we would do that,
That's why you lobby the legislature. But yeah, it's, I mean, it's, I don't know what to say. I mean, we're designed where we have no place for apartments or, any kind of multi-unit housing here. We don't have any zoning for it right now, within the existing town. I don't know what the future will look like. But yeah, you're right. I mean, Alpine has done a little bit of affordable housing, cause there's federal money out there. But the town really doesn't do it. The only thing the town has done is supported it, but it's really the contractors that will go in and get the funding and stuff, it's not
But,
necessarily the
but
town.
talking to Dirk,
Uh-huh.
apparently somebody has bought the land on the other side of the road here from Leisure Valley.
The Bridger
Be-
stuff.
Between Bridger Estates and
The golf
and
course.
Vista, there's a little strip of two or three lots there.
Ah,
And this guy wanted Dirk to put up all the money to build some apartment buildings, that kind of stuff, whatever.
Okay.
And Dirk, how you gonna do that? But anyway, there is a possibility that somebody might wanna build,
mhm.
multi-lot housing right here, and do we have any say at all on,
They're not in
Not
town
anymore.
limits.
that's not in the town?
Mm-mm. The only say we have now, cause that was one of the things the legislature took away, as you
Right.
know,
Uh-huh.
we now can write a letter to county planning. And if it's something we don't approve of, or sometimes I'll send them a letter and say, we don't have a problem with it, cause they'll send me a notice for something that's 2 or 3 miles away, so. But, that is our course of action as far as the town now, we don't really have much say,
By doing that, or that's in somebody's mind.
yeah.
That's a really
Yeah.
interesting one.
Huh?
That's a really interesting one. They don't have year-round water, so they would need our water, wouldn't they? Unless they do all wells.
There's
they
already
have-
water pipe and fire hydrants to that over there.
So they have year-round water in country clubs and in Bridger, what is that,
Yeah.
Bridger
Well,
Southern States, yeah.
Yeah, just not next to it. So Bridger does have year-round water.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah, that's planted for housing all around that golf course.
yeah, there's like a little cul-de-sac like right there.
Yeah, they do have year-round housing, or, water, sorry. Yep.
I think it might be on sewer, I don't know.
This is on
I
sewer.
mean, but on there,
Over
Bridger
here.
State, okay, Bridger Estates,
I think it
those
is.
lots on this corner would,
I think it is,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Across, yeah, it is. Cause the sewer line goes all along Muddy and then it
Right.
comes right up here and ends here,
Right.
at this building. But yeah, they do have sewer on there. So, interesting. We'll see what happens, but no, they're not, and they don't know if they would wanna try to annex or not, I have no idea.
I don't know if we could, do we border them enough?
yeah,
Uh-huh,
We border them on 2 sides, we'd have to border them on 3.
no,
no, if they ask, we can border on one.
we can do a forced annexation if we border on 3. But to ask, regular annexation is only 1,
Okay.
and a street or a road doesn't count, so, yeah.
So it would only, no, yeah, cause we wouldn't be on this side of it either, cause we have this one little piece here for the well, but the rest of it's not ours either,
Mhm.
so it would just be the road.
For the water line, that's how we did it with Pot 5. We followed the water line down.
Yeah, our water line's not on that side though.
I wasn't here when they did it. I don't know how they,
No,
I don't know how they did it, but it is.
all of ours is on this side of the road.
Right, I know. And it was part of the original plat, so part of the original association part. Yeah, anyway, I don't know. But they did it. It's part of the town, so.
Since you started off with an email from somebody, I got, that Justin Schilling email I got this week about funding or kind of stuff, whatever. And
Mhm.
I read that and it says, that's nice, it doesn't apply to us.
No,
Did you get the same?
we should talk about that when we get through these 2 items, so, yeah.
I'll wait.
I did, yeah, so anyway, so that was my issue with housing. I wanted to kind of do a recap on Safety Day, so since Kristen's here, I just kind of talk about, how much support we need from the town council, and actually I ended up with a lot of support, so thank you guys.
Yeah.
But are you okay talking about this, and then I can add whatever?
Yeah, just kind of how it went and everything.
Yeah,
Is that
how,
what you're like?
what do you think we
So-
should do different?
Oh.
Oh, her and I were making
ideas.
lists while we were talking to people.
Yeah, I mean, there was, even some of the citizens that came had some ideas. We didn't really have people come until starting at like 10, so I don't know if it was a little miscommunication or if it's just better to have it a little later in the day, but shorter still, because the shorter time I thought worked just as well.
I agree.
I felt like the sheriff's office showed up with a lot of information and everything, but I think in the future we might want to clarify a little more what we are wanting as far as like helmet safety, seatbelt safety, which they were telling me was a huge one, which I didn't know, but it's a big one here. Any other options that they might have as far as golf cart safety. I tried to push that for a few different vendors and
Yeah.
nobody showed up for that, but we can, make that more of a thing. I had 2 people actually approach me for mental health part too.
It's a good idea.
Even though it's a little off safety day stuff, it might be good for us
Yeah, but it's
as a
health,
community.
so I think that makes sense.
Yeah, just to have options and stuff in the whole valley,
Yeah.
not just our little area. so since we don't really have anything like right here, but some of the stuff they have in Acton and in Alpine and in Thane, as far as counseling and stuff. So, overall, it went pretty well. I was very grateful for Willie and Zach to help clean up the tables. I mean, I could have done it, but it would have
Yeah.
taken me twice as long. It was cool to have the new fire truck there, and I think the donuts went well.
Oh, yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I think next time I'll probably, position people a little different spots, but yeah, just now that I know what they have more of, so, yeah. But I felt like fire and EMS were awesome, sheriff too, and then us just kind of filling in, it was
Okay.
good. And NRB was a hit too, so they did great.
Okay, that was kind of my notes too. One of them was timing, and I kind of wanted to set a tentative date if we can, if anyone has a calendar handy for next year.
You want it in July again?
Yeah, let's do it in July, after the 4th.
So 4th of July is on a Thursday, so
Yeah,
you have the
so
6th
that
is
weekend
a
would be great.
Saturday,
How about what's the next weekend? Look
13th
like?
is a Saturday.
Okay, we'll shoot for that one. That sounds real similar, I mean, that sounds about what we did done in the past, so.
Because then the fire pickup can be like that next week, is that kind of a
Mhm.
good time?
Yeah, I think so, or the week after, but yeah, that's a good idea.
I had one thought, or not thought, but just observation. I noticed we had a table from the Lincoln County Democrats that were there.
Mhm.
Were they, I mean, I don't know how they got there, and then we didn't have a
Counter?
invitation out to the, yes, like maybe the Lincoln County Republicans, if they had wanted to be there.
Yes, so my dear friend Nikki, she actually was able to get lanyards and everything. I didn't realize who it was through until about 2 days before. I also didn't realize that it would be that big of a deal, so I didn't really say anything. But if that is something that for the next time, if to even out whatever for everybody,
It
I'm
didn't bother
happy
me
to
any, I
invite
just,
both.
optics wise.
I
Oh,
did
no,
definitely
yeah,
get
that's
some
the only thing.
complaints.
Yeah.
And then I think the year before there were people campaigning at the event.
I bet that come in or come last year.
Oh, yeah, so
I did.
I got
Like,
quite a
that
bit of
was
grief
me.
for that. So I would say, my thoughts are we start working on this maybe in March and come together with an idea of, who do we really want there? Like public health, we've had them in the past, we weren't able to get them there this year.
Yeah.
And then actually send out an official letter from the town
Yeah.
and invite them, and then we'll do follow-up. So with that said, I wanted to send a thank you note. Can you give me kind of a list of who was there? I mean, I know
Yeah.
the sheriff and the fire
Oh,
department.
yeah, that's no problem. I actually did start some thank you cards,
Okay,
but
well, if
if
you
it's
got
better
them-
on town stuff, I can do that too.
I've got some town ones.
Oh, okay.
If I can just give you those if you wanna send them out.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
fighting on it, so yeah, that's
That
totally
would
fine.
be super nice.
But yeah, I mean, I did understand as far
Mm-hmm.
as not having like certain parties there, but I also felt like they were the ones that were donating things,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, and
beggars can't be choosers.
and I felt
so.
really bad because I made a move. Then I felt like a jerk after.
No, I mean,
Put that in the minutes.
hopefully it helps, like.
But
Still.
it became a big issue, so I'm thinking that let's keep it to public safety or public
Okay.
health or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think the council, a lot more involvement from the council, let's make a list of who we think makes sense to be there.
Okay.
I thought Dry Creek was a great idea.
Yeah, they were really
I never
good.
thought about
Yeah.
inviting
Yeah.
them
And the
before.
propane people said they were gonna make it and then they canceled last minute, but I think
Okay.
propane would be really good
Propane
too,
would
that
be
you had
good.
suggested, so.
Yeah,
So,
Let me forget to get.
and I'm
Yeah,
thinking
yeah.
10 to noonish, don't you think?
yeah.
Cause
Yeah,
like noon,
I-
people started leaving. It was hot
Yeah,
too.
I felt like
Yeah.
noon was good, and
Yeah.
then, I mean, I don't know if more people would have known it was at 9 if they would have shown up, but, yeah. But I mean, the 2 hours was plenty, I think, too.
Yeah, I think so
It's
too.
nice to be busy during, so.
Yeah, no, I thought, it was exciting to see all the kids there, and I thought
Yeah.
I thought your idea of having the equipment there, and I thought that was a great
Well,
idea.
We'll
We just
position
set it
that
up different.
Yeah, I didn't really realize, I honestly, they did a great job flattening it. I thought it was something we shouldn't walk on, cause it was so good.
That's true. Well, they're not
So,
finished, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so, but that, and then, yeah, the water table with, after we got it all fixed, the Forest Service was really good.
Yeah,
I
that
think
one was cool.
That was busy.
We should see if we
so-
can actually get Smokey and the firefighters.
Yeah,
Yeah,
oh, like
for the Forest
Now,
Service.
Okay.
last year we had Smokey,
You had
but
Smokey.
at least the firefighters.
Yeah, and you had their fire
Yeah.
engine, the Forest Service fire engine.
This year, this gal, the she lives here, so.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. She's a hydrologist, though.
Yeah.
I thought what she did was
That's
really
cool.
interesting, yeah.
I
Once you
still-
got
She should
over-
be on our road board.
Yep.
She's a hydrologist.
That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, so,
There's a bunch of questions about the water and how all those seeps down on the Perkins Road across, oh, there's a bunch of stuff, I think all that water comes up out of the ground there.
on Perkins?
On Perkins, on the south Perkins, is it?
Mm.
There's all kinds of seeps and wells and stuff that come out of there, and I was wondering what the connection was with the sinks up here.
Oh.
Because all the water comes out of the mountains and the sinks right here.
Yeah,
And
I
think
have
it
no
comes
idea.
up down there. I asked her if she knew anything about
yeah.
that.
And she did not?
She didn't. She just said this is a very porous area.
Yeah, oh, of course it is, yeah.
Of course, since it's porous, it'll shake and rattle and sink if we have an earthquake, so.
Excellent.
Of course it will. Most places do if there's an earthquake.
I mean, because all that water underground.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Okay, so I'm just writing a note, so we can, you just kind of put that in the minutes that we wanna start planning it in March?
So I have, next safety day scheduled for July 13, 2024. I have 10 AM to 12 PM.
Yep.
And then, start scheduling in March.
Okay, we'll send out
So-
letters and,
So, speaking of Democrats, next year's a campaign year, and we're probably gonna have a lot of people here wanting to campaign. Do we need to start thinking about our plan, and how those people are gonna be made aware of all of our public days, so they know when to show up, whatever, or something like that, or that's something we need to think about for next year?
no,
I don't think we have any.
the only
public
issue we'll have
days.
is when they put their signs everywhere and we
Yeah, but
take them
they're gonna
down.
wanna be here, I just didn't know if we think ahead, okay, well, how do we control that, or
Yeah.
do we invite them to events, or I'm not sure, since we don't want them here.
Yeah, we definitely don't
how-
want them a
how do
safety
we-
day.
How do we make them invited but not invited? 'Cause
Well,
we got, Arbor Day, and we got,
Yeah.
it's nice to have an Arbor Day.
I think the big one is if we do a candidates night again and we can invite,
But that's for our
other people.
That's for, but,
oh, well, we've had other people there before, we've had the representatives there before.
when it's presidential election again, and.
Yeah,
they-
oh, yeah,
So I'm thinking those are the kind of people that are gonna be wanting to slide through here and
I don't
and
know.
have the presence, be able to show their face. And since it's
You
gonna
can't
happen-
stop them from showing their face at a
I
public
just
event.
stop them from having a
But
booth.
we need to think
Yeah.
about
Mhm. Well,
how
and
they
I
can feel
will,
welcome and,
yeah, I mean, like, sometimes they'll come to the council meeting, so I'll introduce them,
okay,
which is kinda helpful, and, or they'll call me and I'll say, just, come to the council meeting, stay after, then you have an opportunity to meet people, so.
Yeah.
There's some different ways, but if we decide we wanna do an event, we'll have to
Just
figure out how
just
that
need to be
works. We
aware
should
of
do we should definitely do a candidates night, cause
Yeah.
we'll have 2 councilmen
right.
up, so.
I think so. And maybe they have to come to you to pick up a packet, right, to
To run
register?
for council, yes.
So maybe
Yeah.
as part of that, could we give them something that's like, here's the rules about the signs,
Yes.
signage?
Yeah,
Yes.
Absolutely.
Maybe that would help, and then at least they can't, if they start putting their signs up when they're not supposed to, they can't say they didn't know.
Yeah.
Yes,
We
thank
get
you.
those,
That's
we
a
get
great
those
idea.
packets from the county clerk, but
Yeah.
as a supplement, I
can
absolutely
add-
agree, we should have something in there.
Yeah, we can add that.
Yeah.
And as far as for the the national races, it's usually somebody in town that puts their signs out, so. Some of them I know who they are
Yeah.
that do it, so. So we can let them know that signs are the problem, but I don't think an event's a bad idea if,
Kind of a meet the candidates
Yeah,
instead
we
of a
could do-
debate.
yeah, we could do something like that, just like an
a
open,
town
more of an
hall
open forum.
almost, or, I don't know,
Well,
town hall's probably not the
Yeah,
right word,
maybe
but-
just like a, not like a job fair kind
But-
of, but, like, kind of just let them have their booths and people
Yeah.
can walk
Yeah.
around and talk to people and,
That's not bad.
Mhm.
election fair, I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah.
what you could call it, but something
There's
like
gotta be a
that.
name.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea either.
I mean, the weekly.
After the primary,
weekly
so
farmers market stuff, you could run next year.
September-ish,
Be a good time to do that.
October.
Yeah.
I'm gonna quit letting you in on everything I'm gonna do.
Exactly.
Sneaking stuff in there, left and right.
Alright.
Yeah.
I didn't get any notes on that one, so hopefully I still got a couple.
It's okay.
Or any of that, so. Alright, so now we have, matters from the mayor and council, so we'll kinda go around the table. I had a couple of things on the road study. Kristen found a few more problems with it.
We kind of discussed about it, there's still a lot of typo problems and
Okay.
things that he missed, and I think the mayor is right, that I think that if we just accept it, then we own it, and
Then
then
we
I
own
can
it?
fix that after the fact.
Okay,
Cause it's nothing huge, it's just things like, at the top of a table it
Mhm.
says, traffic county instead of traffic count.
count, okay.
So just tiny things like that,
Yes.
it's not, I don't think it changes the meaning of the document, it just changes,
Mhm.
you just need,
I
Clean
did
up.
see one place where there's
It's
a
a copy editor.
phrase in there
Yeah.
by itself that didn't make sense, but,
and then he fixed that one.
okay.
Yeah, he fixed that one.
Um,
I think Gru had two,
Yeah,
and he did fix those, but then we found more since then, so it's
Yeah,
more
so-
grammar, yeah.
And
that
I
kind
think
of
where
stuff.
it's just grammar and, that kind of thing, I think it would be easy for us to fix it versus
Yeah,
trying
okay.
to send it back to
And I
Ryan.
think-
Question,
Yeah,
do you have sufficient time to fix it?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it wouldn't take very long,
I mean, he can send you like a Word document too, right?
yeah,
So-
absolutely.
mhm.
And I probably could even just take that PDF and turn it
Convert
into
it,
a Word.
yeah.
To a new word and
So-
just make those corrections
Yeah.
if we do decide to accept it tonight, so. I mean, I think there's some good, there's definitely a lot of good information in here. I didn't see a ton of changes from the prior one, but there is some movement in the roads and the traffic numbers.
And I did send out an updated version from what he had sent,
Yeah, I saw
so
that.
the version that I sent out this morning should be the final
The
version.
final,
Okay,
okay.
while we were talking about the road study,
Mhm.
you need to bring back to the town council comment from the financial advisory board. The ranking system for the town, which roads need to be dealt with first, takes into consideration what the town has already decided they want to put priority on, which probably is not a valid criteria for ranking what the road needs to be.
I know what you're talking about, because it was exactly the same in the last one, so he basically took the last study and used the exact same format.
Well, he listed the criteria in there
Right,
as to which
yeah,
should be the most important one.
mhm,
One of those criteria is which one has the town, which roads have the town council put a priority on?
mhm.
And if it's a road study, it could be, or could be discussed that town council should be dealing with what they have, what has come out of it, rather than what the town council has already said is a priority, so.
Yeah, I know, it's the town infrastructure plan
Yep.
section, which has quite a bit of weight. Yeah.
I would suggest that the road board be given I think the guidance to create you do take that document and think about their priority system, whatever they're gonna use. I mean, Rand gave us a table last month about a method to rate priorities and stuff, so if we give the road board the herewithal or guidance or authority to go ahead and establish a priority existence system, if it's different from this one, they can modify this report and update
But the
it.
question would still come back to, if the town priority piece is eliminated,
Mm-hmm.
will that change the ranking of which roads should be dealt with first? And that one's one the financial advisory board was concerned about,
Mm-hmm.
but nobody's looked into
Mhm.
to determine what it would be.
So that's basically saying that we wanna take away the prioritization that the town has already agreed to do. And why would we do that?
Well, and my concern too, along with that, is that whether it's the road board or whoever it is, they're not gonna know, what water project still needs to be done on that road, you know, why would we pave that road if there's a water project coming? Those are the kind of things that that's why it has that, we know what's going on, and so we can say, well, yeah, that road's a priority, but we're not gonna do that road because we know what's going on in the future with that road. And so that was the reason originally that was put in there, because the council, because we were
But
aware.
having the road board
So,
in-house,
yeah.
they can be up to date on
Yeah.
the rest of the issues, incorporate that into their prioritization process
Mhm.
and scheduling process or whatever. even though Vista is a high priority, it can't be worked for a couple of years, so let's work on something else.
Yeah, so I don't know, I mean, basically he just did exactly what we had prior, and so I don't know if it's worth changing it.
Well, not
I thi-
now, but I
yeah.
think the road board should be given
They have no authority,
Yeah, we
but
know.
they have,
But
they can make a
authority to
recommendation
just
to the town
recommend-
Just
council.
raising concerns that came out of the.
Yeah,
finance
no, I know,
committee.
I've
They
heard
can
that concern
recommend
too.
changes to the road study, and then we can go ahead and incorporate them ourselves as a revision of the road study. It doesn't have to, we don't have to get him to redo it, we can, since we own it after tonight or whatever, Kristen's good at updating.
Yeah, I don't know that she has the file to do that. Marty, did you have a question?
Well, what Ron's saying, it occurs to me that actually the road committee or board and the water committee or water board, should probably exchange information about planned projects. Cause you may have a desire to do something with a particular road that, the water may be thinking 2 years down the line, we're gonna do something. But they could do now if we're gonna tear a road up. So do them both at the same time, but it's gonna be hard to coordinate if the two boards, committees, whatever you call them,
Aren't working together.
aren't working together. So they should be exchanging information back between them.
I think it's also, just to kind of go off of what Ron was saying, was like, maybe not prioritization is their job, but like helping build a timeline. Cause I feel like that is definitely something that we kind of lack overall in things, is getting a timeline set, so at least there's an expectation when things are gonna be met, versus just winging it or pushing it off to the next year.
Timeline's got hard with the money situation,
Well,
but you can at least a priority
an
list.
attempt,
Some kind of a
yes,
plan.
or, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you, the roads we have left are, I think we talked about them this morning, Ridgecrest, parts of Hardman,
For water.
for water, Eastwood. And those are probably, and Eastwood's not, I mean, there's only 2 houses on Eastwood, so I don't see it being paved for a long time.
But that is something
But I think Marty's right, having those two boards work closer together
that's something I
Good
saw.
on some of this stuff.
Again, I keep going south, my other, they have a liaison between the boards. So actually, okay, you are the liaison to the finance board, you're the liaison to this, and also the boards are, know that they need to be talking to the other boards.
Right. And I think the water board has already
Yeah,
had some communication with finance. I don't know if anyone's told Dave that.
I did,
Okay.
about a half hour ago.
Because we now don't, have anybody on the water board that really knows how to do rates, so,
Right.
so they're trying to work together.
But that was something that Frank said we're gonna do when we start working. I said the rates have to be approved by December, so the first meeting is in October, so they better get on it.
Council needs to see him by September,
Yeah,
so yeah.
so
We're not
that's
that
why in
far away.
August, one of the
Mhm.
agenda items is gonna be starting the water rate discussion and trying to absorb by osmosis what Boyd knows and understand his tables and stuff, and nobody else knows what his tables mean or whatever, so that's where
Yeah.
Dave's going to help.
Yes, we hope we're okay. So, but I understand that line, but honestly, I mean, just from historically deciding what roads to do, we never really looked at that. What was in the infrastructure, except where the water was, so, to understand where the water was going.
That's something that Rand's been pushing on, is he wants to see a prioritization process that we're using, and that's why he gave us that chart the last
Yeah.
meeting.
And I think that, I mean, you have all the documents, it's just using them properly, and that was one of the things that Kirsten and I talked about, was making sure they're actually using these documents. So, the boards, that board,
Yes.
and the water board, we have all these studies for water, I don't think they even know about it, so they should probably, PVC pipe studies, so they have a better understanding of what we have left to do, which isn't much. But, all right. Okay, what else did we have? So the road study, collection updates and liens, just to kind of give you an idea, our collections are pretty good, she's about 98%. We do have some liens on some properties, we do have a couple of properties that we are now going to foreclose on for non-payment. So it'll be interesting to see how that all falls out. I met with the attorney again last week on these, we're starting to get some money in. One of the things that I've seen is, some people don't wanna pay any of the late fees or that type of thing, and so we'll kinda see how that pans out. But just for this council, the two of you have already been through this, but we've had some people come to the council and want to, and ask not to have to pay those, and the council historically has said, no, you need to pay it, so. I don't know if these people will, but we'll make sure that you're aware of it.
We did err a couple years ago and allow some forgiveness.
And we had the one guy that bought it on a tax sale, and then we had the other ones that we did not allow them to, yeah.
And are these properties with houses on them that are being foreclosed, they're just lots?
Just
Or
lots, yeah.
lots?
Just vacant lots, yep. We've never done that before. But we're at the point now where, two of them are over $40,000 they owe us. It's a lot of money.
Wow.
It's not a little bit.
So who ends up owning them if you foreclose the town?
That would be the town. No, we'll figure it out. We could use some snow storage, I can tell you that. But then we'll figure out what we're gonna do with them.
Yeah, it all depends on where they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
They wouldn't be next to my house, would they?
yeah.
No such thing.
No.
Does,
I do know where they are, I guess.
does our zoning, single family dwelling allow us to put snow on them?
We would have to read that,
We would rezone it.
just like this building.
We would have to anyway because of the HOA. So I never wanted to own property, but if it happens, we'll figure it out.
Interesting.
Yes, if we decided to own it, we have to take it on as an eminent domain.
But it would still be a single family dwelling lot.
We would have to change the zoning,
Not necessarily.
yeah, so it might get sticky.
It all depends on how it comes over with the
The town can
CCNR.
change it, but the association can't, huh?
Mhm.
Town would take precedence over the association.
No, but the association's not allowed to change it without getting the judge
They're not,
to rule that
Right.
that could be moved from single family to recreation.
yeah, that's right.
But
You have to
can the town?
Yeah, we can, but we would have to take it by eminent domain. It's not a very popular thing to do.
Nope.
We don't wanna do it, really.
Not a
But,
popular option.
Rather these people pay their bills.
Yeah, I just want them to pay their bills, that's all I want. I don't wanna own their lot. So, anyway, but we're working diligently on this thing, and like I said, we've collected a little bit of money, and we'll keep fighting. But
If we take the properties, does the town then have to pay the property tax?
Yeah,
No,
And the water hookup?
No,
but you have to pay the association fee.
no,
No?
we do not.
Not under eminent domain.
So you end up with it essentially free,
Yep.
Yeah.
minus
Yeah, 'cause
what
we're-
was owed on it.
Yeah, we would have to pay any back taxes, just like we did on this building. Yeah, we would have to take back taxes. But other than that, we don't pay taxes, or, yeah. Cause we're a government entity.
Like I said, it all depends
Not
on
really
where
a
you're
bad
at.
way to go. You sure you can't get those 2 lots north of my house?
No.
It all depends on where the lots are.
Yeah, I
Some would be
mean,
a good deal, some
we could
would
have a
be a
little pocket
nightmare.
park and just,
That's what I was thinking.
I know.
But
yeah, a
the
little
pro-
half-acre
I
pocket
see a
park would
pocket
be
park.
But if we
great.
foreclose, then
Yeah.
the sheriff puts it up for auction, and you gotta be there and bid, someone else might bid over you.
No, that's
So,
tax.
No, that's for taxes.
That's tax, not
This is for
foreclosure.
non-payment of their water bill.
When the association foreclosed
Yeah.
for not paying dues, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
they had to go down, it was foreclosed on, the sheriff had a public auction,
Right.
and, so they had to go down and bid for it.
But the association doesn't have the right of eminent domain.
That's right, they don't, so.
No, yeah. So I'll keep you informed and let you know.
But some of them.
And you'll certainly know if we have to go through the process.
Some of them might wanna buy it all, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and we did have a couple sell about 2 years ago on a tax sale, and we've been able to get some money from them, so. Yeah. So anyway, but we're working on it. Jamie's actually doing a really good job in collections, so it's really important. So I just wanna give you an update on that. If you want more detail on each one of those, I mean, I can give that to you if you really do it. And then, just for the council, our yearly audits, we are audited every year. So Wade starts pre-audit the end of this month.
Yeah, I think the last
Yep.
week of, now you're.
So we have a pre-audit done by our accountant. And then our auditing firm, Jones Simpkins, they'll come up and they spend a week here, usually in this office. And they'll do
End of August.
the other audit. So sometimes if you happen to be in the office when they're here, they'll wanna talk to you.
Have any
But
questions
Is
answered.
the schedule to have that done and approved by us by in December?
Yeah, we usually have to have it done. We have to have it in this, to the state by the first part of January,
Yeah, we usually receive it in late November and then
November.
the December meeting is.
Yeah,
when it's sent.
Yeah, and then we give it to the council. We don't vote on it, we just make sure that everyone has a copy of it or is aware of it, so. Cause it's not legislation. And, yeah, so that's kinda scheduled for audits.
But we don't have to really do anything for it, we just have to
They may
accept it.
ask you some general questions, but it's really just on our accounting processes.
Oh,
So,
Mhm.
it's mostly, us in the office that will have to
Oh.
deal with it.
Yeah, but we've had council people that didn't know we were audited every year. We are.
right, yeah, no, that's good to know.
Yep, we are. And they pretty much go through everything. I think the only time we've never gotten it finalized in October was when it just took them a while to find everything. That was in the transition, yeah, when, I
Cause
think
they
when you
reach out
started.
to any place, like they reach out to SLIB to talk about our loans, ask about our loans, and you reach out to some
Mhm.
others, and I think a couple of years, even last year, even they've had trouble getting responses back, just to verify
Yeah, the
accounts.
bank, the town attorney, the town engineer, do they go with the town engineer? I
No.
don't think so, just
No.
the town attorney, yeah,
And they had trouble getting responses, and so that kind of delayed
Yeah.
things a little bit,
so
but,
the state, but, yeah. Yeah, and then we give it all to the state when we're done. They get a
which is
copy of it.
part of the advocation for us to not have our funds spread out all over the place, because if they only have one person to ask about it, then it's easier to get that information than.
Oh, yeah, that reminds me. Yeah, so anyway, that'll start. We had the last 125,000, it was part of the sinking fund, we just, that CD expired, so we've now moved that into,
As of yesterday,
As of
I haven't
yesterday.
moved it out of the checking, I haven't checked to see if it
Mhm.
hit checking yet, but as soon as it has.
so
I'll
now
move it.
everything is in WILD class?
It will be.
Everything will be in WILD class, and then we'll identify that 500,000 as the sinking fund, don't touch it, and then the rest of the money, so, just so everyone knows that that's finally done.
Yeah, that happened yesterday afternoon, so.
Done. So no more money in Alpine, no
Yeah.
more money, well, we do have money in
Yeah.
Bank of Starville.
So are you gonna keep this, that 500,000 as 500,000, are you gonna accrue the interest in that account, or?
Yeah,
So-
that
so
interest that has
500,000.
been accruing in it is still sitting in
So
it.
it'll go up, will the 500,000 then go up as?
Yeah, it has been.
Cause for years, we just kept the 500 and the interest,
Got
put
pushed
that-
over to.
Somewhere
our
else,
checking.
which we could
General.
do, yeah, just so we're only showing the 500,000 as sinking fund,
that's what I was asking, what you're gonna do there, so.
yeah.
And that was just a policy that Bank of Star Valley had, that they would take that interest and move it over to the checking. It wasn't necessarily anything we were manually
Yeah.
doing, it just
Okay.
automatically happened, but as of right now, the interest that's been accruing in Wyoming class has been staying in there,
Yeah,
so.
I noticed it's going up, so I didn't know what you're gonna do as far as.
Yeah, it needs to come out, it shouldn't be in the treasurer's report, it shouldn't be in that 5,000, 100,000, but, is my opinion.
Yeah.
So, it should be, you have a thought on that?
Yeah, we talked about, I think you're planning to do a cleanup of some of the savings accounts and
Yep.
put those in the right reserves and all that. Ron's absolutely right, we should be sweeping the interest to the general water fund, checking account. It's, I don't think it's a big deal that you don't want the workload of doing it every month, but every once in a while. So when you do the cleanup of the savings accounts and all those things, Kristen, move the excess over 500 into the water checking at the same time. That'll help. One clarifying question, I can't remember the answer. At WIO class, do we actually have separate accounts, or are you just keeping separate accounts?
Yeah, they are all separate
Okay,
accounts.
unlike what we used to do at WIO.
Right, it's all,
whatever the old one was.
it's
Okay.
all sub-accounts.
Yeah, so we just,
Separated out.
and I'll bet you, you could ask them, WIO class, to sweep that interest to a different account, to the savings account there, every month, and they would probably do that. Or you could probably do it online with an online transfer between accounts. So if you really wanted to keep it at 500 all the time, you could either set up a recurring entry, or they could do it for you.
I'll look into it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, thank you, that's all I have. Anybody else?
Yeah, I got a couple things.
Okay.
Master plan. But we got, 2 days ago, I got the master plan for City of Surprise, nice one, pictures, all kinds of stuff. And I was gonna forward you guys, this would be a great one to have, but, I went onto our site and we've kinda got a spot on our website for 2014 master plan, or a bunch of documents, a whole bunch of documents underneath there. And then the 2020 RMAS current one, there's only a couple documents. But I was just wondering if we ought to think about every document we have, like the agreement with the fire department, and tree, or Firewise, and all those documents we have, even the agreement we signed last year with Lincoln County Safety or whatever, and somehow managed to.
The agreements wouldn't be in a master plan.
But
There would
the-
just be some kind of
reference-
a notation saying that the fire is being handled by Mid-Valley.
Those are reference documents, so it wouldn't have to be in the plan, but if that file had all of our reference agreements and stuff,
They're already on the website, they're just not part of that
right,
master
they aren't
plan.
part of it, so I just didn't know if there's
Yeah.
a way to collect all those documents under.
There's only certain documents that are gonna be relevant to the master plan.
Right.
That's based upon the headings that are in the master plan. The current plan says we're gonna update the ones that we can update, like the road study, et cetera. And those will be moved into the updated master plan. All the other stuff should not be in a master plan.
Well, but I didn't know if there's a place to put those agreements.
Well, let me ask you why, because if someone wants them, we'll give them to them.
Well, and most
So
of
I'm
them
just
are
trying
on
to
the
keep them out
website.
of our hair.
Oh, yeah, no, that's their job,
If there's a place to put.
public records request.
They, like I said, they are already on the website.
Okay.
Mm,
but
In fact, the very front page has the fire agreement.
Yeah,
That's true.
oh, yeah, they are, okay.
Look at that, it's
Yeah,
okay.
I don't think it's a bad idea, but I think referencing it makes more sense. So, okay, what else you got, Ron?
Another item is, I keep getting this email about opioid study from some woman who's done a thesis or some dang thing, whatever, and
What's it called?
opioid,
Oh, I keep getting those too.
and I finally sent back a note, so take me off your spam
I
list.
get it. I get a lot of junk, so.
Crap. And, based on structural, and Nels talked to me last year about, last month, whatever, with the P and Z about structures.
Mhm.
A neighbor of mine was talking about out in his backyard, he had a walkway out to his spa and onto a gazebo, whatever, and he was taking up the boards, and the boards are rotten, whatever, he's replacing those. So is a walkway from his porch out, 20, 30 feet, is that structure part of the house that requires
How high above the ground is it?
it's just a walkway?
Well, if it's on the
And
ground
he's-
level,
And he's putting handrails and stuff along there or whatever, so.
then yeah, now you're into P and Z.
So that's why I was thinking, I told him, I think you need a permit for that. But I wasn't sure that.
Yeah, I'm
a
not sure
walkway
either.
out
That's why I'm
there-
looking at Taylor.
Within the ordinance, if it's above, I think it's 30 inches above ground, you've gotta have handrails and it's gotta be engineered.
But
I
if
think
it's-
30
but if-
inches is-
But if it's not quote, part of the house, it's a walkway away from that. But that's the question I got, was that part of the house?
If it's gonna be tied to the house at some point, then yeah, it is.
All right, so I was right, that just,
Yeah, I don't know.
it was just a thought I had, you should've got a permit for that.
So 30 inches above the ground,
Something
and
like-
if it's tied to the house,
Well, if it's tied to the house, then
basically,
yeah,
then it's structural.
you're structural,
Okay.
and 30 inches above the ground, the footings have gotta be dealt with, and it's gotta be
I
handrails.
mean, that sounds like a deck.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, does sound like a
I
deck.
mean,
That's what it is. Now, if it's
Okay.
sitting underground, that's a whole nother ballgame.
yeah.
That might have been, I'm not sure how far it was, but he said,
30
he
inches
told me
is pretty
last year, the snow came down and tore out his
I'm sure.
handrails, and he had to do a bunch of fixing, and I said, well, you should have got a permit for that,
Okay,
but I wasn't sure.
yeah, I'm not, yeah, 30 inches. That makes sense. All right, that's it?
That's it.
That's all you got? Anybody else?
Oh, one more thing.
Yeah?
And, well, it came up,
Just kidding.
first, when I read your, the first reading for the rules of the road board, you had safety in there, and I was gonna put road safety in my board, but then I was thinking also safety awareness, whatever, this committee would be the ones that does all that education that we talked about, when we were talking about the safety day. So I was thinking that this board would be the one that goes out And since we don't have a fire department and a police, usually hired fire departments and police and stuff do the education for towns and cities.
Sure.
Since we don't have it, I was thinking that'd be one of the roles of this safety board.
I like that. And I think the overlap wasn't a bad idea, but I think the road and pathways was kind of what I was thinking,
Yeah.
where your guys is gonna be,
Well, I was thinking,
or do you wanna, you to take it out?
rules for walking on the roads, whatever, that kind of stuff, whatever. Trying to be safer on the roads as far as kids driving four-wheelers and that kind of stuff, whatever. All, safety on the roads, I was gonna put in my board, but you kinda had that in yours, so
Yeah,
I just didn't know if.
I think it was more like technical as far as like what is towards the roads as far as signs and, you know.
Oh, so that would be, yeah, so
paint
traffic.
and-
That's in,
Yeah,
part of the road study.
Yeah, and probably traffic study too eventually.
Which is in
like,
there,
Yeah, so,
So we could put it both.
yeah, I think, do you think it'll get murky if we put
I
in
don't
both? I
know.
think it'll be
It
okay.
was just something I was thinking about reading that, and said, well, I thought that was good.
Yeah. I think it's also like applying to the roads, the safety that is with our roads, it's pretty specific, I feel like. It's like road specific.
Yeah, I think.
Pathways once we have
Stick
them,
to
not to
roads.
eliminate you guys at all, but, and maybe that will help the liaisonship between the two.
Yeah, I think if you're gonna have a board, even though the boards kind of work together on different things, it should really be specific as to what they're planning on doing,
Yeah.
within what we can actually do. I guess it's a good way to put it.
So as far as him saying safety though, I think him including
Public
roads
safety.
and
Yeah.
pathways is still okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, cause if, the road board is looking at doing some, roads and seeing, where things should be, it might be something where they
Right.
collaborate with the safety board as
Yeah,
well.
The sharing of our roads by trucks and vehicles with walking and kids on bicycles and kids driving four-wheelers and golf carts without licenses and stuff. We gotta know what we're doing there.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure.
Going in and putting walkways on the side of the roads so people can walk. The roads aren't wide enough for.
Well, no, we
Some
own
of them
plenty,
are,
we
some
own
of
60 feet, so they're plenty wide enough. It wouldn't be on the existing road, it would have to be separate like this one out here is.
That's definitely something I think the road board is hopefully gonna be looking to like, yeah, cause that's pretty urgent to get that at some point.
Mhm.
Especially as we're working on the roads, hopefully collaborating that
We
in.
all want walking on the roads.
What was that? Ron?
You were here though. Okay, you're done for now? Anybody else?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, the Financial Advisory Board met yesterday. Coming out of that meetings, there are 5 basic comments or areas that they wanted brought to the town council. And I'm gonna lump 2 of them together for clarification purposes.
Okay.
The town engineer, what is the relationship with Ryan in the town? What are they required to? What came out of it as it relates to the bridges is how long it took to get the information on the bridges. And not on the Middle Branch bridges, because there was supposed to be 3 options. And they wanted to know the cost, how the cost was determined, why did it take so long and we didn't get 3 of the options, the background on it, the contract, how do we keep it quiet so that the bidders don't know how much money has been allocated. And then on the bridges, the town council had promised the town that we would have a meeting on the bridges, and that did not happen to look at the 3 different options, specifically since we didn't have them from the engineer. So what's the relationship and what's the handling on that type of thing?
Anybody? It's a good question. I don't have a good answer.
Well, we did, the public meeting we had, this is what I think happened.
This came up this morning at Coffee with the Mayor
The
too.
public meeting we
Ron
had
was
was
here.
gonna be on the 3 options for
Hardman.
Hardman. And, like Rand said, he got here late, and by the time he got here 10 minutes late, it had all moved to Middle Branch, and that was what the whole discussion was,
That's right.
whatever. And so, the three options for, concrete versus aluminum versus carbon steel was, he showed us the three options, okay? The costs were, difference between them was minimal, so,
But what was supposed to have been done for Middle Branch was something totally different than that, because the three options for Middle Branch was a walking pass, a golf court pass, and a
Where
road.
was that?
Yeah, but where was
I
that?
know.
No,
That's what never came, that's the point.
Well, let's back up. The three options came to us as part of the application process for ARPA funding.
Right, so that's
It
totally
had nothing to
separate.
do with golf cart
That's right.
bridge or anything else.
No, but
This is the bridge, this is what it is, these are the three options that you have. And that's where that came from.
well, that one started clear back last September,
Right,
on those three options
correct,
on Middle Branch.
correct.
We still have not received those three options. And that's what came out of the Financial Advisory Board, because they were asking, where are those? And why haven't we been able to see them so we can make a
You
recommendation
guys saw
to
the
the town?
options?
Those were only for the ones on Hardman.
No, it was in both applications,
Okay.
exactly the same.
Yes,
But what we asked Ryan to give us was something different for Middle Branch.
we asked him, well, I think we were gonna ask him, I'm sure we did.
I don't know.
Can we open it temporarily or for walking
Yeah.
or golf carts or whatever? And,
I
we
don't
we never got that, but, and you brought the vote up last month, can we open it? And it wasn't seconded.
Yeah,
So-
no, I think that's not what he's talking about, I think Taylor asked Ryan for the three other options.
Yes.
For other options,
And
and
that was done
that was in
clear back
May?
last September.
so I
I
had,
don't remember that.
Mayor, I asked you
Yeah.
early, well, a month or so ago about what is our contract with Forest Green? Like how does that work as far as when they're tasked to do something? And that's why I asked to look at
That's
the
part two.
contract.
That's part two.
So,
Yeah.
because if that was done, obviously it never got done.
Nope.
And then the next thing that happened was after you and I got on the council it was the ARPA grants, and there were the options for the three bridges were exactly, or the two bridges with three options were
We're
exactly the same. So, that's where we came in.
Yeah.
If there was
Right,
something else
yeah.
that was supposed to be done, it hasn't been unless
No,
it's
it
still
has
there,
not,
so.
yeah.
And that's when I had some questions about, so when these projects, like the design phase for Middle Branch that's ongoing now, where are the milestones for it? When, the last thing Ryan said at the last construction meeting I was at was it'll, by the end of July. Well, that's kinda squishy, we don't have a lot of time to work with
That
anyway, the way our budget
Yeah,
gets
that was
approved and
part of
starts.
the thing that came out of
Yeah.
the Financial Advisory Board. When was it supposed to be done? What did we tell them it was supposed to be completed? Where is it? How was it completed? And what were the criteria for the cost estimates? So that they could look at it and then make a recommendation to the council.
Not to detour, but we should also be asking that about the road study and about pretty much everything
Not
that's being
disagreeing.
done. Because I was told that we don't have a contract with them, so I don't know, maybe there isn't a timeline.
You can't find a contract?
We don't have a contract.
We have
There-
just been, they're just like the town attorney, where he is the town engineer and has been for a long, long
So
long
how do they
time.
bill us? They
And
just
how do we
send
They
us a
send
bill
us
every month?
invoices.
They bill us
By the hour, by the project?
By the
By the
hour.
project, it's
Well,
somewhat by the hour,
some are
but
by the hour,
it's,
some is by the
it's,
project, you're right.
because he has separate invoices for like the road stuff, and then he separates out water project stuff and so, I might get 5 or 6 at a time, but we don't have like a formal agreement with them, it's just a
Not that I can.
contract
You're
of
right.
labor,
Maybe
basically.
that's where it's hard to hold
And to be honest,
accountability.
yeah, usually, like with the road study, the council was like, this is what we want, which did not include the traffic part of it, which I didn't really think about, I don't think any of us thought about it at the time.
But it also
So-
took like 8 months to get that. So I think that's where, maybe if there's a contract, the accountability would be better, but, sorry, not to detour, sorry.
Yeah, yeah, and we can, I can look.
No, I mean, that,
It's definitely
that
concerning.
was the,
Mhm.
I articulating it correctly.
I think even without a contract though, you can still set deadlines, because with anything else, even if it's just you bring somebody in to paint your wall, you give them a deadline. So maybe that's just the situation, is we say, here's what we're asking you to do, and I want it by this date.
We should, I mean, in a way, I think maybe the town should consider every time we have a project, we put a little statement of work together that has, you know, deliverables and dates on it.
Yep.
And it doesn't have to be anything fancy, but at least it gives you an outline of what you need.
I know that didn't happen
No, I know it
on this
didn't.
other one.
No, and we're
Yeah.
definitely can allow some time.
So let
to-
me ask you this, because this is,
what
They want to
Hold
see.
on.
Stage manana.
hold on, so we have, when we finished the last road study, the 2014, we did put together a contract with Sunrise, cause they're the ones that did that for roads. And, we started using Ryan when we could get Sunrise to respond. Now, Forest Green has always been the water, I mean, they've done water since the town was first formed. I think we only had one other company do water, Johansson's, for a while. So, is that, I guess what I'm trying to find out is, what do you guys wanna do? You wanna, I mean, cause I hear, you know, some of our board members say, well, we need a new engineering firm, and I would hate to go in and try to get a new engineering firm, especially on water. Roads, I don't really care. Not that I don't care about roads, but it just seems to be a different animal than our water, so.
Is
I
Sunrise,
I think a sit down.
You want a new contract with Forest Green?
I think a sit down with Forest Green principals
Mm-hmm.
and talk to them about timeliness of getting work done, whatever, and see if they're willing to, because right now, I know Ryan's the only person working on it, he's got other jobs. and-
Yeah, he's good, sure,
and
he
like
does.
you- like you said
A lot
this
other, lot
morning-
bigger
Like you
ones.
said this morning, engineering firms are hard to come by, and getting it done is, you know, it's very slow, so.
Yeah, Dave had a question and I covered him, so.
Dave's got a comment.
Yeah, comment.
Actually, so Taylor asked me if it was characterized, I'd say it's close, but really, there's two things that have got conflated here that are trying to be fed back to you from relatively new people at the table. Rand, myself, Jay spoke up quite eloquently. And these are things that I've talked to several of you about more than once, and some of you I probably haven't spent any time with. And there's a process issue that, with regard to how the town council, independent of the engineer, went about managing the selection of what to do with regard to huge capital projects on the bridges and the road paving studies. I think it's a longer conversation that I won't bore you with, and most of you have already heard it. The level of diligence and detail and data-driven decision-making around $1 million projects or $600,000 projects in the case of a couple of them doesn't leave a comfort zone with people who are looking at this from the outside and maybe not keeping in mind that everybody in this room is at best part-time, and that there isn't a town administrator in this thing. So I'm trying to be balanced about this, but I would say that there's a long distance from the process that we just went through, where we were doing this bridge and then that bridge and then this bridge, and we promised town meetings to review real choices, not design choices for a road bridge, but road versus golf cart versus walking, that never even came to the table, should leave a lot of disappointment on the part of the citizens. So there's that issue. It gets conflated because to drive that process, we need a lot of information from the town engineer. Every time I've tried to get an understanding of what's going on with the town engineer, where's the road study? All he was doing was updating the traffic counts. Well, it turns out he was doing more than that. Where's those three choices? It sounds like that never even got asked because it never came. I doubt he wouldn't have done it if he got asked, or if he did get asked and didn't give it, that's a bigger problem. But the words I would use is that the relationship with the town engineer are unprofessional, if not sloppy. Like, you wouldn't put up with this with someone who's overseeing 2/3 of your capital budget in any other entity that any of us have been associated with, right? You would require a much tighter level of discussion, both parties, right? It takes two to fail. So we have to sit down with him and say, we need time with you. We need to say, here's what we really need. Here's when I want it. You feed back to me now if you understand what I'm telling you. Send me a one-pager that says I get it. Rue already mentioned a statement of work or a scope statement for every time we engage them. I think a one-page scope agreement is very par for the course in their line of business, frankly, if not a larger one when they're dealing with municipalities. So I do think, again, there's a lot of room between how we have and do interact with our road engineer and what, sort of world-class interaction would be with that road engineer. I'm not suggesting we go from here to how Google has a department of people that deal with their road engineers, but we could probably move along the spectrum, just like I think we could tighten up how we make capital decisions. And it's nothing we're gonna talk about in the conference room, say, hey, here's the 4 things you do. I think it's gonna take someone for each of those 2 things, if we really wanna change it, to sit down with, you know, frankly, me or Rand or whoever else in the town has interest and time to help, and work with someone on the town council. How could we improve and document a capital planning process so that we don't just end up getting whipsawed around and looking a little bit odd in the eyes of the town citizens? And then same with the town, with how do you manage a vendor for their most important thing that isn't called water, and that's the road project. So I think we can solve it. I'm up for helping over the next few months. And I hope you guys are getting from me that I don't think it's all bad. I think it's fine. We have a small little town, but it could be better, and I'd like to see us move towards that.
Thank you. One of the other items that came up in the financial board meeting was the email that you just referred to relating to the grants coming out of it. Digging through that down a ways,
I'm glad you did.
there is a document hidden in there that's called a TIFIA Credit Program Overview. It's a link down in it a ways, and it's coming out of the United States Department of Transportation. It says eligible for TIFIA applicants and projects. Eligible sponsors, state governments, state infrastructure, banks, private firms, special authorities, local governments, and transportation improvement districts. Then under eligible projects, number 1 is highways and bridges. And then if you get down a little farther in the document, it talks about program implementations, selection and funding, and it's an 11-step process. Now the question becomes one of, is that something we
When's
want
it
to
due?
get going on?
When's it due by?
That one is open. Now, going back, if I went back through, I can find the other one there it is.
Is that the infrastructure program?
As far as I can tell, because this came out of the National Governors Association under the IIJA Implementation Resources. Now, unfortunately, under that, July 10th was the due date for DOT's Safe Streets and Roads. July 10th was the due date for applications due for Federal Railway. 13th was DOE's Energy. 14th was US DOT Work Safety Zone grants. 14th was applications for FAA's fiscal year 23 airport and DOE's industrial research. The one I was just referring to, transportation infrastructure, does not seem to have a due date. In fact, if you get into it, it's got a piece in there that strings on forever. It's got a timeline piece that starts, here's where you start, and here's where you end with each piece along the,
Is this the one from Justin?
yeah.
Okay.
You gotta dig through 3 documents to get to it,
Yeah.
is
See it.
the problem.
I first started doing this, well, you gotta have, state has to provide 20%, but the feds provide 80%. So since the state,
The state will fund 25% of match to whatever the federal government does. But that's the governor's decision as to which one goes, but you gotta have the federal government money first. That's where the Transportation Infrastructure Finance and Innovation Act comes into play, which is the one I just was reading to.
Okay.
It's well hidden in there, it's hidden, but it's in
I
there.
went through that and I got.
Mayor, may I make some comments on this?
Yes.
I spent the morning looking into this. So I spent my entire morning on this. I called Justin Schilling at RAM today to find out what the heck he's talking about, because he sent this to every municipality in the state. And all it says is, hey, good news, the state governor has set aside, and the legislature has set aside $75 million as a matching grant to federal programs. First question, Justin, what federal programs, which federal programs are we talking about? And his answer, which if you read through the document, there's really nothing that answers this question. And so he told me, what he told me was not unexpected. He said, my understanding is that this money will be matched against any federal infrastructure grant that any municipality in Wyoming can get. I said, okay, great, so we're where we were yesterday, which is we need to go out and get federal grants. So I took the time to talk through that with him and how we might do that, and then we also together went on a whole bunch of websites looking frankly, all of these have more data than you'd ever want to see, right? There's propaganda wrapped in data, wrapped in applications for everything that Congress has ever passed, whether it be ARPA or any of the other ones that were money giveaways. And it's a real rat hole. The takeaway was, for me anyways, was going after these funds for us will be very difficult. And he had two resources he could point us to. Kathy, maybe you already know these people. One is Kathy Lenz. She works in Senator Loomis's office. She used to work in a municipality and was very sort of skilled at getting federal grants for her city. And she has been helpful to other WAM members in terms of guiding them and how they go about getting the right.
What was the name again?
Kathy Lenz, Lenz, and I'm happy to call her, I'm planning on.
I do know the name, but
The
that's-
other person is a name, he said, look, the other avenue is YDOT. And he recommended Sarah Ellis there, if anybody's ever spoken with her. He said she's their person that coordinates getting federal grants. You know, we talked briefly about whether that entity would have interest in helping a town, you know, compete with them, so to speak, for federal grants. And he said you just need to call her, talk it through. I've referred other people to her as well, and she's been helpful. So
okay,
I then asked him if they had any resources, referrals to grant writing entities that are skilled in these kinds of things. And he said it's a big problem for WAM that they don't, but he said today there's 4 of us and we just don't have that yet. He said that Kathy Lenz should be able to get me some recommendations.
okay.
And Senator Loomis's office might have some referrals as well. So basically after digging on this, there's still, I found a whole bunch of them. And they update constantly. So all these websites for the different federal giveaways update looks like every month or so with how much is left and what's the current programs and who's the latest winner. So we can tell which ones still have money. And there's a lot that fit what we do. There's a ton of them that fit roads and bridges. I mean, I found billions of dollars just in 2 hours this morning. So, but the challenge remains, you know, I don't know how to write government grants or even begin to, and the amount of time to navigate those channels, but it might be worth making an investment here, given we're facing, you know, Vista at some point and a couple of bridges. You're over 2 million already just there. So anyways, that's all my takeaway was. If we're gonna do it, we probably need to get a resource and give it a try.
The last 2 items coming out of the Financial Advisory Board. One would be to request the Water Board create a capital plan for at least the foreseeable future, so that we know what kind of money.
Yeah, after the last project is done, then we had that same thought ourselves.
Good,
That's a good idea.
good. So that can help with the financial planning. The other one is kind of an off-the-wall one, but I'll tell you anyway. Use water reserve money to pave Vista Road, but you gotta talk to an attorney first.
Yeah, after the conclusion
I think
of
the
water
ordinance doesn't
project.
allow it.
Yeah, just find out, right? Like, I think most of us, we all have seen that phenomenon of, oh, I think that's against the statute or what. And just in a year I've been hanging around here.
What is it?
So we
I'm
found
looking
some
at
that weren't
Kristen.
true. So we should check and if necessary,
Yeah.
get a legal letter because it's kind of close, right? It's the road
I
on
know.
top of a water project, so,
Yeah,
I think it's worth getting a legal opinion on for a few $1,000.
but is there that much in there? By the time we do the ARPA match and the Green Canyon tank?
Probably not a lot.
Is there enough? Yeah, there is. There's 1.8 million, I'll look it up. I think it's 1.8 million after the minimum rainy day, or I just want to double check. I think it's 1.8 not counting, including the rainy day. So there's at least 800,000 there anyways.
And the 500,000
Yeah,
is
and
not
the
part of
five,
that?
that's without the 500?
That's without the 500, yeah, we don't count that.
Yeah, and then we're spending 700,000 on the water project and then another 170 on the tank lining.
So, I mean, we showed that slide yesterday, Kristen, so we all know what those numbers were. I could pull it up again here, but yeah, we projected ahead for all the things that are known, the water tank, the Vista
I'm
project,
guessing-
and I
I'm guessing-
believe there was $1.8 million left.
I'm guessing in order to fund the last project, 500,000 or 5 million, you were suggesting that the town may be putting up 1.5.
Oh, this morning? Oh, yeah. We just talked about what our match is on the current project.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm thinking if the
Yeah.
last project's 5 million, which is the number you threw out.
Oh, about 5 million left, yeah.
Yeah, if we put 30% up, that's 1.5. So,
Sorry, there's another 5 million of water projects that are known to the water board that are not, that I haven't been discussed, okay, that I haven't heard about yet.
well,
That's about what we have left, that 5 million.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I've heard people in this room say after Vista, we're shovels down for a
Oh,
long,
no.
long time. I have heard that, okay.
You've not heard that from me.
I actually have.
No, you
That's where I got it.
well, I think we were shovels
The
down.
majority is done,
Whatever's
but
the-
we are not done.
No,
Okay,
What we have left, we have a little bit of Hardman left, Ridgecrest, Eastwood, and then Prater.
And some Alpine.
Look, okay, so not a lot, there is not a lot left, considering we are at 40 million,
But that comes to 5 million about?
About.
Okay,
and that's after the 21 project and after the 23 project.
correct.
and we haven't
Yes.
projected any of that yet, right?
How are we getting
Okay.
that money?
That's a good
Well, that's a
question.
very good question.
I didn't even know we needed that.
Nobody right now, yeah.
All right.
I don't think they're as bad as the other lines, and so it's kinda like, but I mean, they still have to be done, eventually.
It's all part of, updating the lines to be able to facilitate fire hydrants, and those are the last ones.
Sounds important.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it does.
Yeah.
Done.
Done.
Done, thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, one question, did the financial, or the finance board feel like we needed to do anything besides maybe a discussion with Ryan, but are they,
Well, we need to clear
Suggesting-
things up with Ryan and find out what's going on.
I like.
They would
that
also
idea.
like to see the data behind it and some kind of an assurance.
The data behind,
confidentiality, the data behind what the cost is gonna be for the bridges,
okay,
or for the bridge, et cetera.
So,
And then there's some kind of an assurance.
so that they.
One of the things the Financial Advisory Board was concerned about was there's $540 million in the budget for the Middle Branch Bridge that's already set up. So what is the incentive for a contractor to bid down substantially from 540,000?
Yeah, and we've had that happen with water projects too, so.
Yeah,
they release a guesstimate.
that's a concern.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have what the engineer says it's gonna cost, and then the bids come in, and usually we have a few of them that are,
Right on.
Yeah, but we've had quite a few under that, so.
yeah, that's what I'm
why-
saying, some of them are
Honestly, that's why we've been able to
really
do
low.
as much as we have on the water, is because we've come in under bid. And the state says, okay, this is how much. When you're getting money from the state, you're saying, this is probably how much it's gonna cost us, so. So if it's over, then we have contingencies, or under, I mean.
and then the other thing with how they're, it sounds like the finance board's questioning how we're coming about with what we're doing next and prioritization and everything with the bridges. Is that something where we need to meet with them so that there is a discussion between the two?
Well,
Because,
The Finance Advisory Board doesn't know that it would be, they would like to see how the decision was made and the town council to follow through on the promise that was made to look at the options on the bridges that went out to the entire town. However, without the other information, that's kind of a moot point.
well, I think that's just it, the expectation for the town council to make a decision based on the information we have is what
We made a
we
decision.
did. Yeah, I mean, that expectation.
Yeah.
So if they think that we have more information than what we do,
No,
I think that's the problem.
they don't think we have more information. In order, from a financial advisory board's perspective, there should have been 3 options for Middle Branch, 3 options for Hardman that were different because of the different types of things that were going into those 2 different things. Along with, this is the expected cost, this is the type of use, this is how that decision was made, here's where it's coming from. Now we go to the town and say, which ones do we want to do for which of the 2 of them?
That's the way I would've liked it. Bless their hearts for agreeing with me.
Yeah, we
I would've
voted.
loved that too.
Do
Well,
we-
that's what we had to do
We've
at
already
some
closed
point.
one road, and if we do Hardman, we've closed both roads. And so,
Not necessary.
that was the output of the public meeting we did have. And so, since Hardman is still open, I think I voted, since you should fix one problem before you create another one, so,
I did make a motion,
it didn't get seconded.
right, but it
Did
would
not.
have gotten a partial opening of Middle Branch
You have
Well,
opening for walking and carts, maybe.
No.
Not for
That's
cars.
not what the motion said.
Not what the motion
For
was,
limited
because the
traffic, I
motion
think.
was to go limited traffic with weight and move it in so you didn't run into the problem on falling off the side where it was eroding.
I don't think the engineer's ever gonna stamp a modified
No.
bridge.
May or may not, but
I think that it's just the timeline is a lot of it. Like, we're having to make a decision on Hardman before we really know what we're doing with Middle Branch. And Middle Branch is what was budgeted for, and it was been known for 10 years, it needs to be fixed. I think that it's all
Hardman
of
was
that.
known for 10 years, it needed to be fixed too.
No, so,
Hardman's
and
not
hopefully
closed
this
yet.
way they'll both get done, this idea. I mean, that's where maybe it just, if we do have to have a public meeting, if that's what they're wanting to.
At this
Well,
point, I would,
Yeah,
Say we-
I guess I don't know how many,
It's more of a, just to explain if there is that much confusion just from our finance board, why we're going forward with what,
Well,
the way we
I mean,
are.
some people don't think, well, the road's closed, so leave it closed, hell with it.
And-
Or come pave my road, and don't worry about that one. That's what I'm getting is the,
part of the
as
challenge.
the, as the gist that says, you don't need to fix that bridge, come pave my road first.
Yeah.
so I think,
But,
oh, go ahead, sorry. No,
well,
sorry.
I was just gonna say, it's kinda like Taylor reminded me during the winter, like, don't just look at your road, look at every road. Well, that's unfortunately what we have to do, even if the town doesn't feel the same, like, I don't live over there, I don't really even go over there, but if I did, I'd want the same consideration for my road or what, anybody's road. It's part of the town, we need to fix it, it needs to be
Yeah,
addressed.
and I think it kinda comes back around to the point Dave made a little while ago, that it's a process thing. And if we can get a better process with our engineering firm, if
Well,
the
that might
town is gonna
help.
continue forward with Forsgren, then maybe that will help us not get in this OODA loop that we're in right now. So,
Comment again.
Yeah, I just wanna be clear on something, two things, one sort of personal and one FAB. I do not believe the entire FAB is advocating that y'all revisit that decision that was so painfully reached over a year. I personally am certainly not suggesting that we go back, I think it was a painful road and I don't want to go back to it either. It's a learning point more than anything else that, and as Brutus said, I said it before, I think there's an opportunity, and you're asking for specifics, Kristen, there's an opportunity to improve how we interact with the engineer and how we professionalize that with a contract. Frankly, I don't understand their fiduciary agency role with relation to negotiating bids for us or not. Without a contract, I know the answer, but I don't know if there's a better answer. If we actually contracted with them, we could put them under some sort of agency relationship. And so that's one piece of work, and all of us on the FAB, any of us would volunteer to work with someone on the mayor's staff or the council to try and improve that. And then secondly, and I know Rand has a passion for this, as well as I, that the planning process itself could be a lot better. I gotta be honest, you guys probably realized I was a little upset a minute ago when I found out we had $5 million from the water projects. We have not talked about it in a year and a half of running the FAB. It's the first time I'm hearing about this, and I've been living in this world. So that's a failure of the planning process if I don't know about that yet, because we should be working on that funding now. And so there's room, right? I mean, there's
Yeah.
room to improve. And
I
so
would
I think we should
agree,
have a little effort, and we can name names of who's gonna collaborate on the planning process overall, which still needs room. We did better this year, but there's still room for improvement. And same on the relationship with the engineer. So we're volunteering, we'll leave it in your guys' hands.
I like that.
Thank you. I know it.
Where is Sunrocks?
That's my big concern is if I leave
Sunrise.
tomorrow,
They're out of
all that
Acton.
knowledge is
Oh,
gonna
they
be
are.
That's
gone.
right, that historical
So-
memory is, institutional memory is
The,
gone.
Sort of
Yeah.
the problem that we've found in the past, and mostly not necessarily in the past, but here recently with Sunrise, is just, like everything else in the valley right now, you can't get a return call from them.
Okay.
I've reached out to Dave Kennington on numerous occasions, the mayor has as well, and they just don't seem to respond.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we
Well,
have-
the reality is they've dumped a ton of federal money in, and everybody's got projects coming up.
Right.
And they're overwhelmed, but, Dave did call me back about the traffic study part of it.
Oh, did, okay.
Yeah, and I
that's
said,
good.
we need to have we just need, some idea of what it's gonna cost us before we can go forward with that study, which is it's like 9 pages.
Oh, that's short.
And I did hear back from him. And they will, Sunrise, whenever I hire them for a Chips Hill project, we would have a contract for that particular project, which is probably what we should be
yeah,
doing
so
with
can
Forest
we,
Grove too.
Mayor, could we talk to Forsgren or Ryan? I don't want Ryan to feel like we're piling on
I
him,
know,
you know,
I
but at the
agree.
same time, I feel like we just need better boundaries or parameters, or at least a scope, right, for all of these things
I
that
think
will be
that's
very
coming.
important.
I will say that when we looked at the options for Middle Branch, it was oral, nothing was written.
Right,
No
so-
timeline was
It's not
set.
about
And we did
that.
not, we probably should have sent it in a
Can't pin
special
anybody
notice.
down, yeah.
Yeah, it's not just that project though, it's been multiple, so I think now we know we need to do something. And I'm pretty sure nobody's voiced it to him, so I think obviously not going in guns blazing, but an understanding like this is what we're finding we need,
I
is a
think he was at a
timeline.
town council meeting, we looked at it and says, can we do this? And, you know,
I think you're right,
and,
yeah.
Yeah,
we kinda thought that was, yeah, it may not have come across.
Yeah.
do we?
And I think for me, for the water, which is what I've worked on most, that is all done with the state, and so the state engineering office looks at everything, and so it's a lot more controlled than what, you're right, than what the roads have been, which is
But
probably
having him
totally
on
me.
that, since you like said he's been, or Bosworth's been on it that long, like I, definitely nothing against them, since we haven't been the ones to tell them parameters. So maybe, at least, at the very least, keeping them on water, and if they can't meet
They're
our
fine with that.
expectations for roads, yeah. And then does the engineer have to be in Wyoming? Do we have to have an engineer company from Wyoming, or
They
can
have to be a
from?
Wyoming licensed engineer.
Okay, but they can be from out of the state if we needed to go that far to find someone.
As long as they're a Wyoming engineer.
Yeah,
But when they, yeah, you just have to keep taking them out, if you pull somebody in from Idaho Falls to try to get them here, and
Yeah.
you have to
Well,
pay for
that
their
is
travel and pay
true.
for their time, so.
a little way.
So I always look at that, but,
Okay.
but yeah, you can, most of our structural engineers that we're using now are out Idaho Falls because the Wyoming guys are too busy.
Yeah, okay.
It's just, yeah, so.
Thanks, Dave,
So,
for
yeah, that's fine.
all
Thank
your
you,
input.
Dave.
I have a few.
But we could
things.
use some help on this process, obviously.
We'll try.
Okay, thank you. Yep, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I have just a few little things. When our emails go out for like town council meetings, I can't remember, do we have like a link on it to where it'll take people to the page where the minutes and stuff get posted on the town website? And if not, can we add that?
No, we don't, and yes, we can.
Okay.
I think I have tried that in the past, like linking straight to ordinances and everything.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you've seen it in MailChimp, you can see how many clicks you got.
Right,
It's a
it's
big
just
fat
like
goose
0,
egg.
okay.
So, but yeah, I can probably, cause I have the link to the YouTube in there, I can just link it also to the
Yeah,
agenda.
maybe that's something we can just try to see, and then, yeah, you're right, we should kind of see, does it actually get any click-throughs, but
Yeah.
it was just a thought I had. I would like to see if I could work with you, Kristen, to get more of our budget info and goals stuff on the website. I don't know if we can put a little section with, I have that poster that I put downstairs in the mailroom, which I need to send you a copy of, but, you know, those goal worksheets we did for the town, that each of us did for the various goals.
Sure. I know that was
Something
something
like
that was
that.
requested, originally.
Yeah.
I just never actually got anything to.
Yeah, and I'm not quite,
So-
and I think it's my goal, so that's why I'm asking about it,
Yeah.
to track, but if I can figure out a way to sort of package some stuff together, maybe we can
Yeah.
collaborate on and do that, so I'll get with you offline on that.
Actually, you just reminded me that I need to get the recent budget on our website.
Did you finish
This
the
is
all of our
where
goals,
this
the
one
finalized
is
and
set
full
up.
document,
Yeah,
This
actually,
one.
I think it was Rue that made it real nice, it's in the newsletter,
one.
it's a
Yeah, I
great
gotta,
one.
I haven't
This
sent
page.
you the graphic, and I'll send you a
And then this
PDF of it
page.
too.
This one
Is that on the website already?
takes you.
No, not yet,
Okay, so even that's what I'm
poster,
talking
yeah,
about.
yeah.
That wasn't in the newsletter either, was it?
I know.
It is,
It was in the
it was
newsletter.
great.
Yeah, it wasn't
See
in the
down
last
here.
newsletter, but it was really small.
There's your,
I think 60 days after we pass the budget, the town publishes the salaries of elected officials and employees, right? We haven't done that yet. have
They
we?
are.
Oh, we
It's
are?
up.
Oh, it is up, okay.
The new one's out front, and
Okay.
there's also a new one on the website.
So what is the requirement is July and
It's
January?
July and
Twice a
January.
year we
Okay.
have to do
So
it.
it's posted like on the board, is it on the website too?
It is
or-
on the website,
Okay,
yeah.
alright.
I don't either.
It's in the financials area.
I had a quick question on the process of when the SMO does issue a citation or the town does issue a fine. Can you walk me through real quick, like how does that work? Like we know Joe Smith, homeowner, has violated an ordinance and has been warned 1,000,000 times, and now like the next step is, okay, he's gonna get a fine. How does that actually get done?
So Jim writes, he has citation forms,
Mhm.
he writes what code is is violated on
Mhm.
there, date, time, he also lists on there, the form actually has when court is, So
Okay.
the next date for the court is listed on there, and then if there is, like, if it's like a parking on the road is $50
Mhm.
bond,
So if
they
it's a
can,
bond.
they can pay that $50, and he checks a little box on there that says, here is the bond in lieu of appearance.
Ah,
And so
okay.
they can pay that $50 and not have to come to court,
Right.
or they can come to
Come
court
to
and
court.
contest it.
Okay,
And then once that happens, then he gives it, he puts it into, cause iWorks tracks that. He puts it into there, Gina starts a case file for it, and then, schedules it for the court date.
okay. I was just curious how it
Then
works.
on your monthly report, there's a court report.
Yeah, I do
Tells
see
you
that in the consent agenda,
what comes
so.
out.
Yeah, she does that.
Short-term rental, like, Mayor, thank you, I know you signed the agreement and sent that back to Granicus, and I don't know if they've gotten back to you since.
They've gotten to Jamie,
To
they're now in
Jamie,
the
okay.
setup process.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. If there's anything I could do to help with that, I would be more than happy to. Just very interested in, helping with that and getting it off the ground, and, I remember the gal that gave us the demo said we could have multiple logins, so I would be very interested in also being able to log into that service when
I
you have
told,
it up.
cause Jamie did ask me about that, and I said for right now,
Mhm.
for setup processes, it needs to be me as the admin
Right.
and billing information,
Yeah,
her as the primary user, and then Gina as a backup.
okay.
Once we kind of learn the process, learn the system a little bit better,
Okay.
then we can look into adding more
Okay,
people.
that would be awesome.
A related issue. State does allow a transient room tax, for lack of a better term, but it's not the term they use. But it has to be on the ballot, so if we're gonna try and get that in the town, we need to get started on that.
Yeah, actually, and that's something I said I would help with too, so
Yeah, I
I do
think
have that on my list.
As we propose that, we need to figure out how we're gonna use that money, cause the state rules say you have to use it for promoting.
It's like tourism.
Tourism.
Yeah.
Yeah, they give us,
We,
they'll give
we
you
discussed
directions.
this in, our EDB last year, or whatever. And so why do we want more tourism?
Yeah, but now stop and think about this. Promoting tourism doesn't mean you have to advertise for something. Promoting tourism would be, Kirsten wants to do a festival or a music festival across the street. That qualifies as
Yeah,
promoting
that does
tourism,
qualify.
because it brings people in. So,
And I
Get
think
outside the box a
pathways to a
little ways.
certain percent,
Yep.
you can too, so, yeah, but anyway, we need to get it passed
You have to
first.
get it, passed first.
I think it's probably just a call to the county.
Couple more quick things. Is there any update on Brambleberry paving, project?
The only one that I have is that I know he talked to Willie yesterday about, there's a corner there that we wanna do, and I said, yes, that needs to be part of it. And then also there's the two chip seal projects that we have, that we approved, so that's where we're at. I know he's putting the documents together.
Is
right now, so-
Brambleberry getting asphalt or chip seal?
Asphalt.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Oh, we got
Too busy for
chip
chip
seal,
seal.
Yeah, that's what I
part of that.
Now we approved, maintenance layer on Alpine Way and Ridgecrest.
Okay.
That was all we approved in the
And
budget.
the Brambleberry asphalt project, is that something that Ryan puts out to bid too?
Yeah,
That goes
it
through
is
him?
this time, yeah.
Okay, alright. And I'm sure he probably doesn't have any other update on Middle Branch at this point.
No, he told you the end of June,
And
July.
end of July was the last thing I heard.
Mhm.
And then the only other thing, so over the 4th of July, actually right before, it was the 3rd of July, and I know Craig Adler emailed you, I think, or the town, the road closure on Cedar Drive was all blocked off, but quads and razors and dirt bikes were just mowing right over all the barricades and across everything, and he was very upset about that. And however, subsequent to that, I got a text from them the next day or the day after saying, well, looks like Public Works blocked that up real good. They parked all their
somebody took-
heavy equipment
they
up
did.
there and put all the signs back up.
We had a car that tried to go through there but couldn't get out, so it's,
Oh, God. I mean,
we had to have
just,
towed.
it's mind-boggling,
Yeah, when
but
we-
anyway.
It is.
When we brought it up to the Public Works, they said, yeah, we go down there about once a day and set everything back up again, and so
I
they
said-
knew it was a problem,
Yeah.
and,
I think they're working on it this week,
yeah,
aren't
there,
they?
That's
there
what Willie
absolutely
said,
is no way
yes.
to get through there now.
Yeah.
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 8-foot trench.
Cause I set it up again the other day too, but that was just, I wanted to say thank you for cause the guys went up there obviously and tried to
Mhm.
keep people from going through there and.
Yeah,
that
but we'll
pipe
relay
just
that
finally
to
came
them.
in, just barely did it.
They got it a couple of weeks ago, but they just started working on it yesterday.
Last thing is speed bumps and signs. Are there any new ones going up anywhere or anything we have to do with the ones that are currently installed? And that's prompted by an email that came in.
We have so
from
many people that now
somebody.
everybody wants a speed bump.
Yes.
So, or they want us to get rid of them. So the one thing that Willie and I talked about yesterday is we have a couple of streets where there's both speed bumps and electronic signs, so I asked him to move the electronic sign somewhere else, since you already have a speed bump. And I know he's been looking at them, he just didn't wanna buy anything until the new year started, so now we're in the new fiscal year, so. I mean, I don't,
What, speed bumps, Bobby? He's gonna buy more, is that what you meant?
yeah, he
Oh,
wants to
okay.
get some more. Cause the ones we have, you can't really use, you have to put a big thing in them and drill them into the asphalt, which ruins the asphalt. We don't really care about Vista, cause it's already ruined, so.
Right.
But, so he's looking at some that you don't have to do that with, for
Just
the
like-
asphalt roads.
Okay.
And then he can use the ones we have for gravel roads.
Sure.
Like, they work great, the people on North Forest love it, so.
So while we're on the speed bumps,
Mm-hmm.
I've had, well, Boyd's email and then Terry Wilson says, who authorized you guys to put speed bumps up? Did the council approve it? And I said, no, we didn't approve it, but I don't think we need to.
No, we don't, it's not legislation,
Okay, so that may be an issue tonight. Who authorized speed bumps?
yeah. Didn't hear that today, I mean,
No.
yeah,
Right,
I haven't
today,
heard that.
Everybody's, they're working good.
They love them, man, they want more, so.
One thing off of what you were talking about with the, short-term rentals, with Bonnie, what she wrote in her email, I didn't know if we'd already addressed that, or, cause it was a while
That
back.
is, Jim is taking care of that right
Yes,
now.
okay, good deal.
And they're right now running without a legal permit, is that what they're doing? Kristen, do you know what's going on with that one?
No, they have a permit, the ones next to Bonnie Manger, they
Mhm.
do.
They didn't have the local contract.
They don't have the local contact,
Yeah.
and then the other one, reason my ulterior motive for asking about the citation process was 19 Evergreen.
Yep, that's another one he's dealing with.
And Jim actually stopped by the house yesterday to talk to me about
Oh,
that.
good.
And I thought that he was going to go ahead and go forward with a citation, but then he sent me a follow-up email that made it sound like he talked to the gentleman and now he's gonna come in and finish off his application, which irked me a bit because.
No, he actually sat down in my office this morning and
Okay.
spoke to me about that, cause he wasn't really sure, originally, he says, well, he started the application, but he didn't have all of it done, and
finish
I
it.
said, well, does he have a permit? And he said, no, and I said, well, there you go, he's operating
Run
without
around
a
without a
permit.
permit, that was
I
the
said,
one.
that's
Okay.
pretty cut and clear, so he did actually write a citation,
Good.
sent it out certified with the fine attached to it and everything, so he's
And
it's
I
been addressed.
apologize for bringing that one up again, but that's the only short-term rental property, when we first started this, the council before us started this, all the legacy ones operating, everybody got a permit except for him, and then he didn't, and he kept operating, and then he came in here and told the town he wasn't gonna operate anymore, so he stopped for 6 months, and then he started again. So it was, I'm like, okay, he's had opportunity.
Well, and that's why that program is so important,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
these guys don't have time to track him
Yeah,
down.
yeah, and the
They
only
just
reason I
don't.
know is because I live across from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
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 he's-
he's after him this morning,
It's
so.
definitely been cited as of today.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, and same with so she has in iWorks, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's actually a process in there that creates a letter and sends it out.
Okay.
And so, that was pretty quick, as soon as we found out about the garbage and stuff at Bonnie's,
Yeah.
that went out, so. I'm not sure where we're at with that, so, anyway. But yeah, the
I'm done
Evergreen
with my
ones.
list.
Those are the two I hear about nonstop,
Yeah.
Evergreen and,
It's two
and
problems.
South Forest.
Forest, yeah.
Two problems.
Yeah, and I don't hear, and we have 50, I never hear about the others.
Yeah,
Well, I
there's
think
only a
we-
couple bad
My
apples.
neighbor,
Only takes two.
You, huh?
You've got one too?
people next door, they got cornhole boards. I can hear those bags hitting that board till 10 o'clock at night.
You should get out there, Ron. It's pretty
Yeah.
Join in, my phone.
Yeah, I know, I can play, I know.
Didn't you say you
And
had
the kids run around there screaming and dogs barking.
some of the guests?
Well, I mean, that's,
Well, you could have that with any
I
house.
think
that's
next
what I'm
door.
saying. If there's a owner there with 3 or 4 kids, I'd hear the same thing.
Yeah, exactly, that's how I did when it's 7 next door.
Didn't you have some guests of that short-term rental come and take pictures on your
Yeah,
property?
about a month ago, I think six gals rented that place next door. We looked out the door in the morning, they were all on our bridge across.
Oh, yeah, well,
Posted
that's,
on that bridge, getting pictures. you know.
well, that's okay,
Yeah.
it's a nice bridge. All right,
Charging him, say $5.
yeah, Kirsten has something.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
you're moving
Oh,
on.
no, you're good.
You're good.
There's the man. What'd you do?
What did I do?
You're on the spot. All right.
No.
Okay, back to the council,
Moving on.
moving on, Kirsten.
I had a couple of questions, about Plat 5 for pocket parks. I just didn't know if I could at least go and look where we had all been kind of talking, like, oh, there's room here, there's a section here. I didn't know if anybody had.
There's two road right-of-ways, from
Okay.
what I understand, that are owned by the town.
And I don't mind double checking, I just, if I
Those
have
two
an
dead
idea.
ends?
Yep.
But those aren't those, single family dwelling
No, it's
lots?
the
No,
road.
no, it's road.
On both,
And I know we have
it's
snow
road
issues,
is
so-
dead end,
And
so
we
it
use them
should
for
be
plow.
Yeah.
60 feet wide, and however deep the
I
lot
don't
next to
know
it
if those
is.
are 60 down there.
Hang on.
But you can
I'll
put
bring it
water
up.
on,
Can you
you
get-
can
oh,
put water
awesome.
bathrooms on there?
Am I gonna put what? I'm sorry.
Pocket parks require bathrooms?
Not
No,
necessarily.
I don't think so.
Not if
Not
there's-
that
What
I've
what your
seen.
plan is for a pocket park?
Well, I don't know, so that's why I wanted to go look and see, or if it's even possible, so that if it's not, then we can move on. Cause that was something that I asked about and we kind of were
guess
throwing it
step-
around, so.
Step one is to find a spot that it
Mhm.
can come back and says, hey, if I wanna make this park, what will we have to do to it?
Yeah, well, there's two,
No, there's
from
two.
my understanding, there's two possible spots. Now, if you're gonna do a pocket park on those two spots, you gotta have the neighbors on both sides agree to it. And if they don't,
Yeah.
so much for that.
I don't think there's enough room for a playground and parking on those.
So this is
Dead
a
end
little bit
roads.
misleading, I'll show
Well, I'm
you
not sure
here.
you need a
Oh,
parking,
thank you.
because it would be
So-
just identified for the,
This is
local
misleading right
neighborhood.
here, cause this doesn't actually connect through, it just ends right here. Cause there's actually a chain across there.
Right, yeah.
But this is one of the spots, and this is also misleading, cause it doesn't look like it's as big as it is, but it is.
So when you're pointing, are you pointing to the road or where are you pointing?
Yeah,
it's
to?
right here.
Sorry, you're pointing.
Right here, yeah, so this ends right
Yeah,
here. But this is one of the places, it's at the end of Brushwood.
okay.
And
It's a
then,
dead end road, but we don't use that road. The only problem is there's property,
On either
on the
side.
one of them, there is a property.
Well, not only that, but
At the
the
very end.
country club way, I mean, that's a 55 and older area, right?
Yeah.
So they may not. be
Well, I
too
don't
That's
happy.
not part of
That's
the
not part of
town.
the town.
Well, I know, but we also.
That's, no, but there's, I don't think there's any, there's too
and then
many
the other
houses.
one is right here.
Yeah, that's the big, that's the
So
one
this is
right
also
here.
misleading, this tumbleweed actually just
Kinda
runs
goes
straight until,
through.
and same thing, it ends right
Okay.
here.
Yeah, but there's a property there, so there's a house, but you couldn't put a park there because there's another property.
Oh.
So they would need to be able to get into that property. However, they've got great big huge power lines and a power thing in that property, so.
Yeah, so like the
Oh.
mayor says, it's, like I said, hard to tell here, their
Yeah.
property ends here, but there's another lot right
Yeah,
here.
there's a lot right there.
So it's
Okay.
That would actually be a good lot to own if you own a lot.
Are they up for foreclosure or no?
They're not up for foreclosure, they might be up to sell it, but they're probably about 100,000. The other
One
good
center.
lot, the other good lot is the one in Plat 4.
What is this? Bramblebriar.
Doesn't care
That doesn't, what is that?
I don't know.
Okay, I guess I gotta
Future
fight
right
with
way.
Google
Yeah, I was
again.
gonna
So
say.
at the end of Brushwood, right here, Leisure Valley actually owns this lot right here.
Oh, really?
And
the
all it
sewer system
is
goes
there's a sewer cleanout right here that connects into their lagoons over here. So this would be a one that we maybe could consider doing something there.
As well. Okay.
I don't
It
know
might
if
be
you
worth
wanna
a
be
conversation.
Yeah.
right over
sure.
to
See
the
if they
sewer,
would sell
but it'd
it.
still be.
Yeah, well,
But they would still have to have access to the sewer, but
Right.
yeah.
you wouldn't wanna build a house, you can't build a house on
No,
there.
you
No.
wouldn't want to.
But maybe they'd even be willing to, I don't know, collaborate to develop it into a
Yeah.
little playground or something.
It might.
All right.
Yeah, that one's kind of a weird deal.
Yeah, you can build such
So there's a
and
couple over
maintain
there
it
that
for
might be
that.
good.
Okay. Well, I'll
So-
just look and, I mean, if it's
Yeah,
not possible,
it's not
then
gonna
we're
hurt.
not to look anymore.
It's
Right.
bizarre.
That is weird.
That is really weird, it goes out in the middle of the field that they
I could
burned
put a
down.
big pocket park right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so my other one, farmer's market, I did talk to Ted today and I'm supposed to meet with him about using electricity. So he was very nice about it. So at least until if we can get Willie or whoever we do electrical stuff. I'm not an electrician, so I don't know
That's
what it
okay.
all entails, but if there
Yeah,
is a
I don't
possibility
either.
to get it.
We asked
can-
electrician,
Oh.
Willie was gonna talk to him next week,
Oh,
but he's
good,
working on
okay.
something else for us.
I told Ted it
talked
might
to Willie on
Yeah.
Saturday and asked him, what would it take to put power there? I said, well, there's a box right there, and we just have to,
Run the line.
Yeah.
So-
Underground conduit and.
Yeah, but I think that the
Good.
bigger
Right.
issue with that is why would you want power over here in the corner when once all of the grass is finished, your events would be on the grass.
Yeah,
but they could, I
So-
was talking to him about having multiple
Yeah.
road coaches come in there and park.
Kirsten didn't even know what you were
I
talking
know,
about.
I'm like, why do you call
A
it
food
that?
truck.
Food truck.
Yeah, and so, and I don't know, I mean, we would have to decide where the best
Yeah.
place to put it, cause it's not gonna be cheap
Right.
Oh, to put in the.
put in
electric-
power.
Oh,
You
right,
gotta-
even though you're
you gotta
taking a
trench
line?
it. You gotta trench it and bury it.
Yeah.
I think,
But we also have power at the well house, and
Yeah.
so.
Well, then can we bring that down a little bit?
Well, we could bring it all the way over here,
also-
but
Well, no,
we could
no.
do something on the grass
I think
area
Okay.
there,
There's
so.
that
also
might be
power
good.
out of the back of the
We told me that,
building.
you probably
Yeah.
don't wanna bring power off the well house.
No,
Oh,
it would have
really?
to be
But
separate
but there's
too.
a green box outside where the, used to power the post office,
Mhm,
and that was
There's
town
power over there.
power there.
mhm.
The fire department pays for power to the emergency response building, but with the same box it was used to power the post center, so.
Is it just, oh, that's
There's one
connected to
over
the
there.
first responder?
No,
It
it's
isn't, so
not.
that's separate, so we could use that too.
It is separate, yeah, they were metered separately.
Okay,
Is it 2 meters in the same, that big same box?
No, the meter for that building was removed.
oh,
Right,
right,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
so
it's-
that-
it was
You're
removed.
talking about the transformer that's sitting there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That big square.
That's
Yeah.
the transformer.
Yeah, that's still there.
Yeah.
So he said we could, I told him that I'd get a plan together when we wouldn't be using it any longer, but I made it sound like we might be just
Okay.
using it this summer,
Yeah.
so.
So just for the rest of the council, my concern was if we're using the power, our contract is pretty specific on that building. We pay for water, but we don't pay for power, they pay for power, so.
But he made it very clear we wouldn't have access to it, he would set it up so that either one of his guys who's meeting us
Okay.
to open it for us to get it,
Yeah.
or they would have it out for us in some way.
Yeah,
But he has a meeting with their district for Thursday, that
Oh, the-
meeting that they have
the
with all
district,
of them.
okay.
And
Okay.
he'll let me know for sure, but he said he doesn't have a problem with it. so.
Yeah, and that would be whatever they decide.
Yeah, I
We'll have to
asked
figure
them
something else
cost
out.
wise, yeah. And then, okay, so our checks that are in our, book drafts and stuff, I don't know what they're for. And so I think previously when we kinda had started met with Gina, it was like, well, she had shown us the checks and we were all signing on them, so I could kinda tell what they were for, but I don't know what they're for now. Cause we're not really signing anything, so we're not seeing like what they're made out for, or like a memo or anything. So I just think that it would be good to know, like even the Fosgren stuff, I noticed like they're getting, sometimes it looks like payments, but I don't know if it's payments or we're paying them for a certain thing.
Sure.
I didn't
Anytime
know.
that you ever wanna look at, if you have a
Oh,
specific question, just come in.
Okay.
Cause I'm the one that does them now. So
Okay.
they're in my office and I'm happy to let you look at them any
Okay.
point in time. It's hard to get that much detail without making that report like 30 pages long.
Okay.
And so,
yeah.
I've kind of explained to Councilman Rock, I could probably explain to everybody, but those
Oh.
codes that are at the beginning of there, they're all very specific about what that's tied to.
Okay.
Give me 30
Like the
seconds.
first 3 letters or
Yeah.
whatever.
So, CD is cash disbursement,
Okay.
CDP is cash disbursement for payroll. CDPT is cash disbursement for payroll, which is a transmission, so it's an electronic payment instead of a check.
It's like monthly almost, if it's an election.
Some of them are bi-weekly, cause they're payroll.
Okay.
Some of them are monthly, Wyoming Retirement's monthly, but,
Okay.
and
So I
that-
can come in
Yeah,
and get it,
anytime.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't mind doing that, cause I just, like a couple things I wasn't really sure if this is like a regular payment
just
or,
ask.
yeah, so, okay.
yeah,
That sounds
I'm
good.
happy
Yeah.
to pull those
Okay.
out.
Yeah, and
Okay.
even when the council was signing them, it was only one councilman that would actually go through the checks and stuff.
Yeah.
And me,
Okay.
so yeah,
Dave had some.
On that point, we have a new financial reporting package that we're working on, I mean Kristen at this point, cause I go out there, but she has to do all the real work. So anyways, that's supposed to go out later this month. I broke it into a couple of phases, one is just simple stuff, like an income statement for each of the funds and things like that. But phase 2 does have a better, what's called an AP detail report, which is exactly what you're asking for, and it is very common for them to have more than just the payee name. It will have the next piece of information, which is what account does it go to. And sometimes they'll even have a memo or a project code that you can, and the name of the project, if we do that, I don't know if we do project accounting.
No.
So anyways, I think quite easily out of any accounting system, including ours, I'm quite sure, we can get that next level of information automatically without creating a much larger burden on Kristen. It'll get you a little bit more information.
Okay.
So that's gonna come here in the next couple of months when we get time to do it. And then after that, that'll alleviate some of your questions, and then you'll still need to go kind of get the voucher out your pack and look at the check if you have real detailed questions.
Well, and when I look through that, it's kind of what Gina showed us, right, from the beginning, it's just, and it says it all right there. Okay, yeah, I got it then.
Yeah,
Okay.
everything that we receive, when it gets entered into Cassell has an invoice number, the date of the invoice, a due date, a description of what it is. Some port unfortunately is, kind of generic, it might just say parts. But
Sure.
that's where the actual, like, invoice is more helpful,
Okay.
it's got more information on it.
And trust me, you don't wanna see the whole list of parts.
Yeah,
Some
no,
of them,
no,
some of
I'm
them are
good
pretty
that
bad.
way.
And then it also has which GL code that is being charged to.
Okay.
Which is the
that's
account it's
okay.
charged to. So by the way, I did some benchmarking as part of thinking about what we should have for our package. It is entirely common to have the true AP detail report on every city's website, so that actual, instead of the 3-page version of this, the 20-page version of this, it actually is on a lot of towns' websites. So I wouldn't shy away from that, because I think the questions do come up fairly. You know, what was this actually for, not just who it was to. So I do think we should steer towards, you know, if it's an automated report that we can get quickly, I'm gonna probably steer us towards more information and dump it down, and, you know, the 3 people a month that might wanna look at it will go to that part of the website.
And I think Lincoln County posts their expenditures in the paper.
They probably have to. Afton has to, cause they have a
So does
paper
Afton,
local.
yeah.
It's a kind of a state requirement you have to post it in a local paper if you have a local paper, but we don't.
In your town.
Yeah. you have
It's
to
very
be
specific.
in your town.
Yes.
One more
No paper.
thing.
No, we're not doing newspaper,
No
please,
paper.
thank you.
You should.
Save the best for last. So, I kinda talked to you about it earlier, or in June, but about our plowing, the $200,000 that was set aside. We kinda talked about, clearing fire hydrants or what we would be doing with it. I think we need to figure out what we are doing with it. Like, not
Yeah,
next
that
month.
might make sense, well,
Because
you gotta get somebody under contract.
If you decide to do that, yeah.
and I've been talking to a few people,
Mm-hmm.
3 other people that have plowed, like, between my office in Alpine and here, and, I mean, 2 of them are like, well, we're already booked up, and I'm like, and then the one guy I'd already been talking to, and then this other guy's like, well, how are you gonna contract it and pay, and I'm like, we don't even know yet, so, I mean, I don't mind doing a rough draft and bringing it, sending it out, or what, I don't know. I don't know what everybody else is thinking on that as well, but something probably needs to start.
It's something that has to be bid.
Well,
Let
we
me-
I don't
Let me
think so.
rephrase
I
it.
don't
Would
think
it
it
make
does.
sense to try and bid it, see if you get a competitive situation going?
If you can do it in
It's a
2
good
weeks.
question, yeah, first of all, it doesn't have to be bid. Is it smart to do it? Yes.
And I'm fine with that, but then that means,
But I think we gotta determine $200,000 is not gonna plow this town.
No.
no, well, and I mean,
Yeah.
obviously we
So
need
I
to
don't know-
discuss that, but we're not
Yeah.
looking to have somebody plow the town. We're hoping, my hope in doing this is that it will allow the people that we already have plowing, our public works and, all the work they're doing, it will help balance it out, so we can either this year see where they are like, oh, we need more of this or that, or it gives them time to catch up so that they can see what it looks like when it's all being plowed and they're not filling behind or any of that sort of thing. I mean, it's all of it, it's supposed to hopefully help them, and even if we don't continue doing it every year, it will show like, okay, it'll at least get us on track to what the expectation is and how we need it.
So how does
For
the
plowing.
rest of the council feel about it? Cause I thought that 200,000 was if we needed it.
Yeah, so
I didn't
did
know we were gonna do a contract today for something in the
No.
future.
Well, we can do it in
Because I've
October,
heard that-
November, but.
Cause that would be a
It's-
question,
it's-
is if you
if-
contract with somebody and then you don't need them, then what happens?
What do
Do
we
we still
do?
pay them for
I
nothing?
can't imagine we're not gonna need
If the
them.
fire
We
department
get
says,
snow every
oh,
year.
All
use it.
depends on how heavy that snow is.
Yeah, I mean, what,
Would we wanna, like, focus it to like, just for fire hydrants, for
Well,
instance?
I was told fire hydrants can come out of water,
and that is how we've always charged fire
which I've never
hydrants to
heard
water.
that before, but now we're doing,
But I'm not
like,
sure
if that's a
water board said
possibility.
that's a road.
Why is it
expense.
road? The
I
fire
don't
department,
know, that's what I've heard from,
I know, I
the
assumed-
past chair of the water board
But I mean, as far as,
says clearing hydrants.
how is fire hydrants roads? It belongs to
they
the
put-
the
they
water
put-
department,
They put
right?
the snow there.
No, it comes through the sky.
Well, it needs to be discussed, but yeah, that's, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to that, but Kristen cleaned hydrants, it was charged to water, right? That's how it was always done, so.
So you guys are allocating your time, that's how you believe is getting charged? Does anyone act, this sounds like urban legend to me, so I would encourage you guys, if you're gonna make a decision based on that belief, that you actually check people's time cards and see how much of their winter plowing time they're
I,
putting in.
I see them when they submit their time of
I
where they
know,
put
but seeing
their
them
time.
anecdotally in real time is not actually analyzing it.
No,
It's just saying,
I
"Hey,
see
think
them
that
on
you-"
their time card, how they put it to fire hydrants, and that fire hydrant pay code is tied to
Cool. So
water
that's what I'm
department.
getting at, I would suggest the town council look at that data before you kind of go down a path that says, well, this is or isn't the case, let's
Well,
see
I
how
think
much
we can
we're
also
charging.
just see, in the complaints we get throughout the year, obviously something needs to be allocated there, either time, manpower, or just
It's pretty rough
focus.
is what it
But
is.
then I've
Yeah.
also heard,
Yeah.
That's why
I've also
it's
heard the
working.
fire department says they won't use them anyway. So is that a
I've
good
heard that
use
as
of
well.
money if they're needed?
But I haven't heard that from the actual fire department, I have heard that from everybody else who thinks they know, so
So-
we can ask that tonight,
I know,
when they're
yeah,
there.
I've only
Is
heard
I
of
the
mean,
the
fire
chief.
chief gonna be there too?
I haven't heard it from the
Yes.
fire chief,
Well, then
actually.
that's a good opportunity,
yeah.
just so everybody hears
And
it.
if that's
Yeah.
the case, we should
Whatever
also
it is.
put that in our ordinance then, that we're not the ones having to clear it, too. Because it's like, I mean, it kinda puts it on the town, that we're the ones who are supposed to be
I
clearing
think the
them.
way it's written now,
So-
right?
Yes, that's the way it's written.
Yeah.
So,
So
then
no one
we
else
should
is
be
supposed to be
changing
doing
it if that's an issue.
Mhm.
But, and then if that's the case, then our boys shouldn't be clearing them at all, and they should be doing everything else, and hopefully that would also improve things, but I'm just saying, like, acting like it's not something that we need to start paying attention to now, it's just gonna blow up in our faces again, so,
We got 3 months?
we don't have 3 months, that's funny though.
So I guess, yeah, I mean, whatever you all decide, I have my own opinion, but we have $200,000 that you think we need to spend on a contractor.
Well,
Where do we spend it? Do we?
I know.
I
where's
don't
the
know.
need the most, so that's also where, like, the fire hydrants, if they're not a need, if we don't need to worry about them, if they can get that big tanker up to Redwood, cause that's where my house is, then, you know, I'm like, okay, then let's take that and remove it out of our ordinances, so we're not sitting on that and making it look like we're supposed to be in charge of them. If that's something we don't have to even think about, that's great. But also, I'm assuming Willie probably knows, not just from complaints, but phone calls and discussions that we've all had, like, where are we lacking, where do we need help?
I mean, do
If
you-
it's manpower, then maybe contracting would be helpful.
It's hard to, obviously project what sort of winter we'll have, but I mean, is it something that we
That's the
should
problem.
talk to Willie and say, look, if the council, if the town could contract for something like within the next month or so, because we really need to, otherwise we won't be able to get anybody, what would it be?
Yeah.
Would
Maybe we
it-
can do that. I think the challenge still is staffing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, now, keep in mind, last winter was an extraordinarily heavy winter, and we were short 3 employees.
Yeah.
So,
But that's
And
where
it hasn't gotten any better. It's not just winter, it's summer too.
so if
Yeah,
you're short
the same
employees,
problem.
that money can be used to hire your contractor, cause if you're not paying employees, you can use that money to get a contractor.
Well, that's kinda how I'm like seeing it too, like, if we were short 3 employees, then there's money there that, I mean, I would have liked to have had that even allocated maybe to somebody who could help us, because just sitting there and saying, oh, we're short this, we're short that, that's broken, is not an answer.
Were we also
We
short
already-
piece of equipment?
No, we have equipment, we just don't have people.
Was it one?
We were
Yeah, we
short,
were.
short,
Yeah.
Last year.
Yeah, we were, yeah, you're right.
Absolutely.
short a plow truck, and
A
there was
blower.
a problem with
The blower,
The blower was
blower's
down.
still in the shop,
and there was a problem with one other piece of equipment.
yeah, 2 plows.
Perfect
We
storm.
broke 2 plows in the last winter.
Yeah,
So-
you should have seen the road grader with a piece of metal stuck in the plow front end comes together,
That's
and
right.
there's a gap right there, there's a piece of metal stuck right in the middle of it. Nobody understands how it got there.
I mean, I feel like we need to do something to be prepared, but at the same time, I also don't wanna get stuck with a contract that we find out we don't
I agree,
spend the
like,
money.
I don't wanna
We-
spend
you know,
money,
we
we
pay
don't.
this guy $200,000 and we don't
Yeah.
use him to do anything, that would really be
I'll take that
horrible.
too.
It would, but I think also even the year before, I mean, in the past years, like the last 3 to 5 years, there have been parts that could have been improved on. And so that's what I'm saying, if we can either address it with a contractor so that our guys have a time to get around things and get the rest they need. Like, I don't know what the answer is that way, but I'm just saying, like, wait around here and sitting on our thumbs is not
Like
gonna
I
help it.
suggested a lessons learned, to identify things that could have been better.
Mhm.
Have we, I'm sure Woody and Kristen have it in their head.
Probably
Thi-
sure.
Things that,
Like a recap like we did with Safety Day just now,
you know,
and did a better job.
if we had
Yeah.
both lessons learned, both on roads, and we had the leaking water on, you know, down the harbor, whatever, if we had lessons learned, and people, here's what happened, and here's what could have been better. and
Like a
we'd
debriefing,
have, we'd
yeah.
have input for our decisions, but.
Yeah.
But trying to, you know, get Willie's and Kristen to sit down and think about stuff. It's hard.
When do you have 5 minutes? You know, one thing I thought of is if you contracted to do like a certain subdivision, like for instance, we have to do Plat 5 with a pickup. I mean, that would at least take one area, I don't know, I
Maybe
mean, I
that's a
don't
way to
know
go after it.
what the right
Yeah,
thing to do is,
like,
but,
outside areas too, like, I don't even know if going to, like Alpine Grove and over there, I don't know how hard it is for those guys to go up and do all of those areas versus, do you know what I mean, like,
I don't think you'd want anybody up like on
Spruce
Route,
and
no,
stuff, evergreen, yeah.
no one who didn't know that area.
Maybe
Okay.
Plat
Cause it's
4 and 5
dangerous.
is up.
Yeah.
And I get
Some of
that.
this stuff down here too.
Or some down
4 or
here.
5 or 20, Aztec, that little area right there.
it might
Because
be
I-
helpful for
I know
them.
Willie, like,
I mean, that's
last
the
winter he
thought.
had like, cause he showed us like, I start here and this is my route, right?
Mhm.
You know, if you looked at that and said, you know, if I didn't have to do like this road or this part,
Mm-hmm.
maybe
Yeah.
that would, you know, especially if it was a really lot of snow or whatever, maybe that would help alleviate some of the
Kind of,
stress
some
on
of
that.
those, and some of that area, like that area, the south end, it would be much easier for someone who hadn't plowed it to do it.
Yeah,
Since it takes so long.
It's
Or
flat
like,
and-
yeah, Plat, was it 22, what's the one on the?
Yeah, 22, I
22,
think,
is
yeah.
that what the
Yeah.
very south one is?
yeah. Where
yeah,
some
and
of
that
these
one's really
others, like
flat.
up by your house,
Well,
there's some of those that are dangerous, and I
They
don't
are.
know.
but they also
if
get
they
the
would do it.
more snow.
Yeah,
I mean, that
and they
might
have
be
more
something
snow.
else that we can discuss. I mean, I know they know what they're doing, I'm not
Mhm.
questioning that, but it's also like, well, if there's areas that are getting more snow and you're getting those last, and then you're going back down and then they're getting more snow,
Mhm.
that doesn't really work. But if you're going through and hitting the most hit places first, coming down, hitting the other areas, and then you gotta go back and get those. Like, is that something a contractor would do, or do they have enough guys now to do
I
that?
think the only
Well, they do
backtracking
it.
they really do would be for, the cul-de-sacs, and they send out the loaders separately to do those anyway.
Okay.
So
Like
they send out,
twice
there's 4
type
pieces of
thing.
equipment that go out, right? There's
It's,
two,
yeah,
two
It's-
loaders, one loader.
two loaders,
Two
motor grader,
loaders,
and a
a
pickup.
grader and a pickup. So 4 pieces of equipment, and it takes them 8 hours to plow the entire town.
And the equipment's down here, so if you wanted to start up there, they'd have to,
The equipment goes all over town.
I mean, but
But
it's
they
stored,
start down
stored
there
down
hard.
here.
It's, well, it's stored in the,
Yeah,
Probably.
and they
South
told me
end.
they start down there and then
That's
move
what
out,
they do.
which, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's better, I don't know if it's worse, I feel like
Mhm.
it's great that it takes 8 hours, but if it's not getting done correctly either, then I'd rather it take them 12 to 15 hours, I mean, so that it's done correctly. So that people are having roads that they can drive on. You know, if it's freezing, every time you go down over where I live, or even at the entrance, there's slick spots every time, but instead of sanding it, they wait for a complaint, and that's an issue, like, we need to be kinda on top of that. But Willie did tell me, like, the sanding isn't an issue for them. So maybe it's like us making an expectation, like, they're doing that more regularly, so that people aren't having to slide down, or having to slide through this before it's
And I
sanded.
think there's some,
Like a protocol?
no,
Maybe?
cause they go out and sand constantly, but it's also a situation where maybe a little bit of, public education would help too, because the problem is if, you know, they're sanding on that pack and all that sand it's doing is sinking right to the bottom of the pack, you're gonna say, well, they didn't sand. Well, they did, they probably dumped a whole truckload of gravel on there, but if it sinks through, there's nothing they can do
Yeah.
about that.
Well, and it does as it gets warmer, but that's what I'm saying, but then by the nighttime, it's freezing
It's
again,
freezing
so the
again.
next morning, can we get it done?
So,
Like,
yeah, I
especially
mean, then you
out
gotta
in
decide
Asian.
whether you're gonna call them in 24/7
Okay, so
to
if
sand,
We
so.
shouldn't, then that's where we should probably have a contractor and have it safer versus and not overworking our guys. I guess that's where I was trying to find
know.
that balance.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the exact answer is yet, but it's like just not doing anything isn't the answer.
No,
We're
well, I
waiting
think they
for
do
it.
a lot. It's
No, I'm
just
not
that,
saying, I'm not even talking about
I
them, I'm
know.
talking about us.
yeah.
Not doing anything here.
Oh,
is
the
the
council,
problem.
yeah, you're right.
I'm not talking about our guys.
Yeah.
And I think
Find me
that's,
some employees.
well, I think
That's what I told the people this morning.
Don't we have a half a dozen people on the ranch are experts in plowing and they're.
Yeah, that's what they tell me.
They're more than happy to show you how to plow.
Just get into
Yeah.
detail with them and find out how
Uh,
much they really know.
Yeah, exactly, well, unfortunately, that's true. So, yeah, but I guess I'm not arguing with you, I'm just saying, what does that contract look like? Do you wanna hire somebody
Should we
to come in
ask
and
for
gravel? Whenever they
Yeah.
want, or that's, I don't know that you're gonna have a contractor that's gonna be on call
Well,
24/7,
I
so.
guess to me, it's like, if it's under 15 degrees, anything under 15 degrees, maybe it's more, we could ask Willie and them, then they should
Yeah.
be out at 6 or 7 in the morning, sanding certain spots on the range.
Yeah, cause most of the places
And
down
it
don't
will
have a
be
problem.
melted down by 10 or 11, and I understand that, but
Yeah.
when you have everybody going to work between 7 and
Mhm.
9, that's when you're gonna have issues out at a main entrance that's completely iced over, and we know it's iced over because it's below
There should be
0 or
buddies.
whatever.
On top of that now,
What was that?
isn't he on top of that now?
Well,
Putting
I
his
don't-
resources where it's best?
Well, that's just it, maybe
But
he
you're-
doesn't have
but
enough
you're-
resources.
You're second guessing his operational plan, and as far as I know, Willie's.
It would tend to make sense to sit down with Willie and say, what would be the way that we can help you the most?
Mhm.
And then go
Yeah.
from there.
I think that's the whole point, yes, for sure.
But that's a conversation between either the council or you, the council and Willie, or you and Willie.
It should
and
be
then
the
come back.
council,
I
So,
agree,
yeah.
the council is
shouldn't
better.
be,
Okay.
yeah,
So then we need to get Willie in for a
yeah,
council meeting.
yeah, we can do that. You'd be glad to, not today.
No, not
No.
today.
A little too late today.
Next workshop, or
Huh?
next workshop?
We can do the next workshop.
Are we
We don't have
having
a-
workshops every 2 weeks then, or are we doing?
We don't have another one planned this month, we've got 2 planned in August.
Great.
We just planned another
Why
one.
do we have to?
Oh, that's one.
That's
that's-
right, Ian.
that's-
Regular
August
one on
9th
Joy
with the
P&Z.
P&Z.
It's still a meeting, yeah.
Is there?
Doesn't he have a plow deployment plan? How he
Yes,
sends people out
we
to
do.
plow?
Mm-hmm.
So, it seems like you've answered half of it just from sitting over here. That with, Ellis's idea that the council ask him what we can do to help. But at the same time, it seems like maybe he ought to be sharing the plan for, the different circumstances. For how he
That's a good point.
sends the plows out, and based on that, and I'm thinking that's probably something the road commission, whatever you're gonna call it,
Haven't
Is-
decided
I
yet.
think it's just a road court, isn't
It is a
it?
road
You'll
court.
decide tonight when I do
I
the first
will,
reading.
yes, that's right.
the road board could work with them on, so that we can see how to plan it and where to get the resources from. It also seems like having a contract with some of the people that do residential plowing on a contingency basis, when we need them. We don't get the same amount of, even this year, there were several days, even full weeks, where we barely got any snow at all. And then other
Daily.
days where it didn't seem to stop. I was wondering where my wife was out there shoveling the driveway. But, so if we have them, it's not like we wouldn't be using them if we contracted. It's
Right.
just when we'd be using them.
Yeah.
And,
Would we have a priority over their hours?
well, that would be,
Right,
have
that
to,
would
see,
be-
that would have to, those are the kinds of things that would have to be worked out in the contract. And then maybe, we set up do it in a way where we set up a set payment. This is what you're gonna get, whether we use you or not. And it may take the whole 200 grand you've set aside, it may not have to. But when we need them, they need to come out and handle the areas that we need. And they can work under, it would seem to me, they can work under Willie's direction, hey, here's where we need help today.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So,
Just
you
a-
know, so that I can send my guys somewhere else to do what they've
Yeah,
gotta do,
for sure.
but here's where what we need you guys to work.
Yeah.
So just kind of an example, when we had to contract for a water operator, when we had that period of time where we didn't have, I was in here and we didn't have one out in the fields. He had an agreement set up with us where we paid him a flat $100 every month. And then if he got called out for anything, then he charged an hourly rate. And that might be a consideration
Yeah.
for that contract. You could
Sure,
say,
yeah.
we'll pay you $1,500 a month just to be on call. And if we call you out,
For
then
the
we'll pay you.
following months.
Yeah, for this,
Yeah, for sure.
for November to January
Yeah.
or something, and
Yeah.
if we call
Or
you
December.
out, then we'll pay you an hourly rate based on your equipment and how many.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
if you're not using them,
And
if it
leave that
seems like,
discretion on calling them out to Willie, so if
Right.
Willie says, hey. I
and he
need
does know some people that might be willing to do
And
that, that we've talked to.
if we're gonna pay them to be on standby and it, say December, we don't use them much, but all
It
the
only
hydrants
costs us
are tunneled under,
$4,500, yeah.
Yeah.
you can say, hey, it's in our budget to pay you to do something, let's bring you out to clear out the hydrants. And if that's all they do, at least that gets done,
Yeah.
and the contract then becomes worth having.
And then it's
That's a
less
good idea.
pressure on our guys.
It's a really good idea.
Yeah, cause then at least, then we get to January or February, we've only ever paid them the monthly amount, or
Yeah.
maybe
Right.
a couple of times a call out, and instead of the 200,000, it's
Yeah.
maybe like 6,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so
I
then
think that's a good
we've saved
idea.
quite a bit.
And if it's making our roads safer, you know, and taking some of the
Yeah.
pressure off of our guys, I think it's
Yeah.
worth it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cause he can say, hey man, I've got guys out this week and I desperately need some
Yeah.
help, I need you to
Yeah.
come in and cover Monday to Tuesday or
Yeah,
something.
I think Kirsten's idea on the slick parts is correct, and I don't know how to solve that. We did use Kirsten, I don't remember, we used a salt,
The problem with the salt sand is we prefer to have a pack on the road, and the salt sand removes the pack, so then you just have a big chunk that's melted out back into
I
pack.
think the gravel helps, like it
And it
does.
does,
the
and you're
sand,
right.
it
I'm
does.
just wondering about the front entrance, it's asphalt anyway, why we don't,
Because like I
do-
said, he's
oh,
only
then
gonna
you have to
sand
have a
there.
different sander.
He's only gonna sand down there, he's
Yeah.
not gonna sand the entirety of Vista,
Yeah.
and you're still gonna hit that portion where you get back to pack. So you're just gonna have an abrupt end to
Yeah.
asphalt back into pack.
The sand
And
is
it's gonna be
really
hard on
nice.
the plow, cause they're gonna hit that every time that they plow.
Well, then you'd have to have another sander.
Well, I don't think that would be the case, because they don't sand everywhere, they don't sand the entirety of the roads.
They just have certain
They just
sections.
intersections
sections.
and hills. And
But
so-
I honestly hear more about this road, I
Well,
hear
that's
about
where
this
every-
one mostly.
That's where everybody goes, but I think it's kind of fun to sit there and watch them all slide around the corner.
Proper tires, I'm sorry,
And
that's
that's
a
Slow down.
problem that we have.
Slow down.
Proper vehicle.
With proper tires, I think that's important.
Yeah,
No.
but I agree, it may be, and it may be that he does, maybe that he sends people out at 4 in the morning to
Yeah.
make sure that everything's
Yeah.
sanded, but unfortunately, the complaints that we get happened at 9:30 or 10 o'clock, when
It's
throwing
too
sand
much.
at it's not gonna do anything.
Right.
Yeah,
so-
and that's part of the
Exactly,
challenge,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But I think maybe getting ahead of it instead of waiting for the complaint, you know, it's
And
part of
maybe
it
an
too.
education piece would help,
Oh,
and
for
maybe
sure.
just say,
For
hey,
sure.
you know, we understand that the roads are slick, but here's why this happens and
I
what.
think that helps like
But I
in the
don't think
newsletter
that
or something.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that when people call, it's a bad thing, because they can't
No.
be everywhere, and that way we know.
We know.
Yeah.
We know, I mean, we watch them slide down this one, so
Oh, yeah.
we know this one's bad, but you're
But I
right.
think it's like, it's not rocket science either, if they've
Mhm.
complained every day or if they're complaining enough, and it is
Yeah.
like, after a while, even our town people, like our citizens become complacent in complaining. They're just like, you know, not all of them, I know.
I said, like, who are you
But
talking about?
some of them definitely do, they get tired of having to say
Yeah.
the same complaint, and we really should know better too, cause we already know where those spots are.
Yeah,
You know, so if we can help the guys get ahead of it a little bit with contracting or doing something like that,
Yeah.
I think it would help morale on both sides
I
too.
think somebody told us we should put something down there with sand in it, didn't you say we tried that before, nobody ever
Oh,
used
yeah.
it?
We've tried
That
it in
was an
several
idea.
places, and all it would do is fill up with snow.
Yeah, so I
People
think
weren't
that
using
isn't
it.
Yeah,
worth
they weren't
doing.
using it.
Well, it's somebody else's
Wasted.
job, nobody's gonna get out and do it themselves.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. So anyway.
From what I understand, once upon a time, the highway coming up through the south end was that way, that it had so many switchbacks on it that they would throw buckets out, and people would get
I
out and
forgot to
sand,
say
but
phones off.
it's on there,
It is on there, phones off.
phones off,
You know you have to share that call with the council, right?
No, I don't.
you do.
Yes, you do, we're in session. Wow, okay.
So,
Let's see, I thought that was a great idea, thank you. Will you help with that?
Sure.
Okay, are we going, let's see, upcoming agenda updates, council priorities and upcoming, agendas. The only thing I wrote was Firewise pickup starts Monday. We got the farmer's market on Saturday.
Weeds, Thursday.
War on Weeds, I didn't have that down
Was
here.
that this coming
It's
Thursday?
this Thursday, the
Thursday is
13th.
War on Weeds.
Yeah.
The master plan update,
Working on it.
okay, and the nuisance ordinance is a work in progress. It keeps getting bigger, but I like how it's looking, so. So anyway, that's where, anybody else have anything? Any
Real
other
quick, I was
agen-
gonna say that water board met yesterday, we're gonna voted to recommend, Marty for the board, so.
Okay, so-
that'll be the
So that'll
last-
go in the August meeting?
Okay, and they wanna see the engineering package for Green Canyon, they wanna see the engineering package for the water, for 2022 project. If like everything else, we wanna see the engineering from Ryan, to see what's in there, so.
Okay, as soon as we see it, it has to go to the state first, the state
Yeah.
engineer's office will approve it.
And then we want
They,
to work with somebody on SCADA, try getting SCADA data, is,
they need to talk to either JT or Steven,
okay, is okay for them going, like, okay,
making contact, yeah,
alright.
JT or Steven.
And as
And
far
as
as.
soon as I see those documents, and the water project has to go to the state first, so as soon as that's done, I can probably get it to him, yes,
As
sorry.
far, oh no, you're fine, as far as the road board, appointing people, does it have to go through all three before we start appointing members? Okay.
You can appoint the first members,
10
No, it
days
has-
after, 10 days after
10
third
days
reading.
after.
10 days
Oh,
after the
okay.
third reading,
But it would still have to go at the
so
meeting.
it'll go
that-
into September, October.
Oh, October.
You could still meet, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be
we
the
kinda make it
October
plans.
meeting when you could appoint
But I would make
members.
it very clear to whoever you have that they're not appointed until they're
Okay.
appointed.
It's just not a party, it's not a meeting, it's a
So
party.
5, yeah, so 5 people plus a alternate, I think you put in there,
Mhm.
so 6.
Yeah. So if anybody besides Marty or Dave has any ideas, put
Yeah,
it on
one
there.
of our public
Ah.
works workers actually would like to
Oh,
volunteer for that
really?
board
Yeah.
too, so.
Oh, awesome, okay.
And,
Oh, that's
and John
exciting.
Lynch,
And John Lynch.
John Lynch, who's a prior councilor.
Oh, okay, yes.
He'd be good.
He was, oh, yeah.
John would be good.
I also, although he's chairman of the board, HOA, but Mike Wardle was also somebody that somebody had mentioned. And I
Mike's
had a
no
ch-
longer
Mike's no
chair.
longer the chairman.
Oh, he isn't.
Nope.
Is that
He's still on the
What's that
board,
mean?
but he's not the chairman.
Mike is the P and Z
Okay.
representative.
Oh,
That's
so that might be even
black.
better then.
Actually,
Oh,
that's
sorry,
very
Mike
exciting.
Black, there's,
Yeah, I was gonna say Homer's.
three Mikes.
He's now the liaison
Except for Mike.
for the.
Well, Mike Wardle
flag.
is,
Yeah.
is gonna be coming to the
Instead of
PNC
Carolyn
meetings.
Thacker,
Yeah,
Carolyn
he's-
Thacker.
Oh, yeah.
Carolyn's gonna be there, okay.
Carolyn
Okay.
Thacker is
Yeah,
the
she
new
was voted in, so she's
vice
chair.
president.
She's now president.
I am behind the times.
I know, you might have to have me learning about it.
Yeah, so I think, you know, I probably just need to get together and figure out who you've talked about so far.
Yeah.
But I thought John might be a good choice.
No,
too,
that's
so.
great, I think
Okay.
he would be, for
All right.
sure. So that would be good. All right.
You guys, we're good for tonight, should be easy.
Okay,
We do
question
have a
for
deputy
tonight.
here tonight, just so you know.
If Mr. Robinson decides he wants to get local,
Yep.
do you wanna handle it, or do you want somebody else to handle it?
Mike Wall, he should look up at that council table and see just 5 blank faces.
Yeah, we shouldn't respond to him at all.
Let him talk to the air. And
I'm taking it wrong.
eventually
Don't
he'll-
respond to
Okay,
it.
Yeah.
well,
Eventually he'll peter himself out and just let him sit back down.
Yeah,
So is the, officer here for that reason?
that is correct.
and he's asking for more data. Has he got everything he needed so far? Now he's asking for more stuff.
He just
Yes.
asked for more stuff.
Yeah, and she did let him know that this is a new request, which is a new form, which is a new fee. And
We went through the same thing, you guys don't know, but we went through the same thing with another house that was built in that neighborhood.
Same guy.
Same guy.
He wanted us to make her tear it down. So, and
I
it'll
move-
happen again.
I move we adjourn. I move we
Recess?
Recess.
Table this meeting.
Second,
So second.
moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Hearing none opposed, motion carries, thank you very much.
You wanna talk